Hi y'all, good morning. Let's get after it. We got some catfish to catch today. That sun is already coming up over there. Y'all took too damn long to get out here this morning, but I'm gonna get some baits on here and we're gonna get it going, man. We're gonna try to catch some blues, maybe some flatheads today if we're lucky. And we're gonna have us a good time today. If today's trip goes anything like yesterday's, we are in for a lot of fish and some big ones too. So here is my first bait. That is a skipjack head. We're gonna have this one on a dragging rig. If you're new to my channel, haven't seen these dragging rigs before, it's basically, it's a three-way rig. You've got a three-way swivel up here off your main line, which is 40-pound monofilament. On one part of the swivel, I've got a dragging sinker, which I make these myself. There's a link down in the video description if you want to learn how. Off the other part of the swivel, we've got an 80-pound monofilament leader down to a float and rattle, and then the hook here, which is a 10-aught size circle hook. So we're going to put this one off the left side of the kayak here. And we're going to have a variety today of not only presentations, but bait too. We're going to be using skipjack and white bass. So I'm going to let that one drop down, start letting out some line. We're going to get our other one on here. And I'm trying to work fast here, y'all, so we can get some baits in the water and get it going, because I'm a little bit late getting out here. I'd like to have been getting started about 30 minutes ago, but I reckon y'all slept in or something. So here's my next rig. Same setup as the other one with two exceptions. One, we've got the white bass head instead of the skipjack head. The other one, off the bottom of this rig here, the tag end of this hook, we've got a Catfish Sumo bait stalker fly. So this artificial bait is going to be pulling along behind the cut bait as we make our way through the water. And I'm going to show you where we're at, how I'm setting up and all that here on my graph in just a second once we get these baits out. We're going to be fishing 3 rods today. We're going to be dragging 2, which are going down now. Then we're going to have 1 more rod running off the back of the kayak today. And it is going to be up really high in the water column. Our dragging rigs are going to be on the bottom there, near bottom. Our baits will be near bottom. Our sinkers will be on dragging the river bottom, but our baits will be up a couple, 3 feet. Our third rod here is going to be a balloon rig. And on this rig, we're going to have just a Carolina rig without the weight, essentially. We'll have a chunk of skipjack, and then below that, another Catfish Sumo bait stalker fly. And this balloon, which I've used an overhand knot to tie on our rig here, it's going to be about 3-4 foot up the line. So as we go along here, we're going to be covering the bottom of the water column and also just right under the surface, 2 or 3 feet. So we're going to get fish that are potentially up and down in the water this morning. So I'm going to give that a little toss behind us here. This balloon rig, it's lighter weight. We're going to have to let out some line kind of by hand on this, but I'm not going to run it super far behind me. Maybe, I don't know, 30 yards or so, give or take. Our dragging rigs, we'll vary the distance of those behind us. I'm actually going to go ahead and flip the bail on that first one there that we let out. We'll let out just a little bit more line on the second one. Try to get them running at different distances behind us. And we're going to move up this ledge here. I'm on the Tennessee River, main channel ledge, kind of out in the middle of the river. And we're going to move about a half mile an hour today, and I'm going to fish till it gets hot this morning, which ain't going to take long because it's already, feels like it's miserable out here. And we're going to hopefully catch us a bunch of fish. Yesterday, I don't know how many fish I caught, but it was a lot. And I got some good quality blues. I got a flathead that was pretty nice, and it was just consistent action all morning, with the exception of me having to run from a storm from a little while. I did today bring an umbrella just in case, because there is a slight chance of storms today. We won't get hit with any rain or storms though, I guarantee it, because I'm prepared today. It only happens like yesterday when I didn't have a rain suit or umbrella or nothing with us. Y'all should have made sure you packed that before we left the launch. So we've got this balloon rig out. I'm gonna set it in the rod holder behind us. So you can see that balloon there. It's not too terribly far back. I just want to cover right here at sunrise, even though it's a little after sunrise. You see a lot of surface activity going on. I don't know if you can see in the distance there, but there's a lot of bait up here near the surface. You see some occasional splashes, some fish busting, whatnot. So we're going to run this balloon. We'll probably run it all morning, truth be told, but definitely right now, let's flip that bell over. Definitely right now, right here at sunrise, a little after, I definitely want to see what's going on, see if we can bust something on it. These dragging rigs though, yesterday, it would have been my last video there for regular viewers. I was dragging two baits and suspending two baits. And I'm gonna tell you, man, the dragging rigs outperformed the suspend rigs yesterday by a country mile. I think I got 1 or 2 fish total suspending baits. Everything else come on dragging. And again, there was a lot of fish. Even my flathead, you never catch flatheads on dragging. Got it yesterday on the dragging rig. So today, I've moved my dragging rigs up here in front of us so we can better watch those rods go down. I've eliminated the suspend rod altogether, although I do have it with me. So if times get hard, if we're not catching them dragging today for some reason, we will throw out the suspended bait. But right now, I really want to focus on dragging this morning because that was what was paying off big for us yesterday. So y'all my fishing buddies today. I'm gonna bring y'all with me, raw and uncut, unedited. This is a real fishing trip out here this morning, man. Y'all gonna be with me from now until this battery dies or until that sun runs me off the water, whichever happens first. Could be either way today, as miserably hot as it's gonna be. So we're a few minutes into the trip. We've already got our baits out and we're in the game, man. I can't remember yesterday when we got the first bite, but once we got it, I think maybe it was 20, 30 minutes into the trip when we got the first bite. But after that, it was pretty consistent action just the entire morning. And it was like this all the way up this ledge. I'll show you on my graph here. And you can see the land. The land comes off kind of sharp over here, but then it just gradual taper down to the main river channel here. Same thing over here. You got that land. It comes off to a deeper flat, which is mid-20s in depth, and then just a slow taper. And you can see here on the graph, it's a slow taper this way, a slow taper this way, and then you get into the old river channel here. And so we're just gonna kind of follow this path up through here in the main river channel. It's kind of flat. The depth will vary a little bit. We're 68 feet now. We'll probably end up at like 50-something feet today when we get up through here. But yesterday, fish were just all along, kind of roaming around out here in the middle of the dang river channel. I'm gonna put y'all on the chest here as we make our way along. But we're summertime here. We're late summer, actually. It's post-spawn, so fish are mostly off the nest. They should be anyway. Yesterday, we were getting some fish that were marked up. They had like scars on them from protecting their nest and stuff. So that's a good sign that the spawn is over. Look right here. We got our first fish just like that. Oh boy, he feels good too. He feels good. Put your sunglasses on, y'all. You're looking right into the sun. This one feels pretty good right here. This is on the skipjack head. We've got 2 skipjack heads anyway. I've got some scrap pieces of body sections there from skipjack that we used yesterday, and I think we got 2 or 3 white bass in my bag. We're at the bottom of my bait. We're just using what I didn't use yesterday. So we're gonna need to be that's another reason not to run that 4th rod suspending baits this morning, because I'm a little short on bait. And so I wanna use it on what was working well yesterday until we prove that we can't do today what we were doing yesterday. And the way we're starting out here, just boom, boom, catching a fish that feels pretty good here right off the bat, I'm thinking we're in for a good day. But we are going to try to be conservative with these baits, especially the head baits. We're going to try to reuse them. I went 2 head baits to start here because I want to try to get this morning bite, assuming there is something going on here that's better at first light than later in the morning, I want to have them big head baits on. I got a lot of confidence in them, both skipjack and white bass. So we'll do one of each, put a chunk on that balloon rig that's over there. If we get anything on it today, just a bonus, but I thought, what the heck? I'm coming down through here this morning. I launched way upriver and I was coming down and I'm seeing all this surface activity going on. I thought, you know what, let's just try it today. It's a good a day as any to do it. This feels like a good fish right here, man. He's not fighting incredibly hard, but I'm pulling some weight in unless he's just foul hooked or something. And this is the rig with just the hook, not the stinger fly. So I don't think this one would be foul hooked unless he just got wrapped up in the line somehow. I think he's going to be a solid fish is what I think. You're going to need to put your shades on though. You're looking right into the sun trying to reel this fish in. I need to get mine on too. Once that haze burns off, good fish. Look at this. Look at this one right here. How about this for a start? Fish number 1. Buddy, yes. Let's play him out here a minute. That head bait's still on too. He ain't throwing it off. So what we'll do when I land him, we'll make sure that bait's hooked good, and then we'll get the line going back out on it while we get him situated. That way we can try to work as efficiently as possible. That's a good sign though, man. Catching a fish just a few minutes in. I mean, this bait, we'd just flipped that bell over 2 or 3 minutes ago and started actually pulling and already hooked up. 68 feet here where we're at. Y'all pretty good luck today. Look at this fish, buddy. Come on, fish. Come on. Oh, let's bring you in now. Let's bring you in and behave. Solid fish, buddy. Solid fish for fish number 1. Holy cow, man. Holy cow. What a start. What a start. Okay, let's take a look at our bait. Man, it's still hooked good and everything. Let's get it going back out. Just start letting out line on that thing. I'm gonna set y'all up here in the front seat. Take a picture of me and this fish, would you? Y'all do something for me today. I know you ain't gonna bait no hooks or reel in no fish for me, so at least take a picture of this thing for me. Let me give you a fist pump here too, first thing. Look at that, man. How about that for fish number 1? We are off to a good start today, man. I am happy to see you, Blue Cat. If you are a sign of things to come, we are in for a treat today. Man. All right, let's send you home, kitty. We'll see you, buddy. All right. Hey, gone. Got that line going back out. We're just going to keep on the move. We're going to keep it about a half a mile an hour all the way up through here and just cover some water and hopefully run into some fish today. These fish are going to have to be basically, we're going to have to pull by them to get their attention. We don't have any current flow out here this morning, so there's no scent dispersion at all other than what we're doing by just trolling along and kind of we're creating 2 things when we're dragging. We're creating a scent trail from the blood and oils leaking off our baits. Second thing we're creating is a dust trail, because as our dragging sinker pulls along the bottom in that mud, it's kicking up a little mud there. It's creating a disturbance. It's creating like a little dust trail, like a fish you take a carp, for instance. You know, carp, if you've ever watched them, if you're going through a shallow creek or a mud flat, you see them carp, oftentimes their tail up in the air. They'll be face down in that mud, rooting around, and it creates a little dust cloud, right? Well, we're kind of doing the same thing with our dragging sinkers here. We're creating that kind of a little dust cloud, just a little disturbance as we pull along. So anyway, y'all, I'm excited, man. I'm pumped up. We're just a few minutes in and already got a nice fish here to start. That is awesome, man. And I've got my graph on. I mean, the graph here today, we're basically going to use it just to monitor our speed. Since we're not suspending baits, I won't be raising and lowering baits as the depth changes. Dragging, it don't matter. We're going to pull along the bottom regardless. We really just want to watch that speed. Now, if we see anything here on the graph, fish-wise, great. Yesterday, honestly, I wasn't seeing many fish, but they were clearly there, as many as we were catching. So I don't really care about all that. Mainly, we're just looking at speed. We want to keep it half a mile an hour-ish. You know, anything 0.4 or 0.6 doesn't matter. It's not an exact science. But half a mile an hour yesterday was really working well for us, so that's what we want to start with today. I did kick up the speed a little bit yesterday and toward the later part of the morning just to play around. Got some more fish, but we'll start with half a mile an hour today and see what we can do with it. I'm feeling good though, man. I was excited to get back down here today. I wasn't sure if it was going to happen with the weather. Yesterday, the weather was supposed to be okay. And then I get out here, and it's you hear the thunder off in distance. You look at radar, like, oh crap, about to get hit. So I made a run. I wasted part of the morning running over here to a dock to hide from it. And fortunately and unfortunately, the storm never really hit. It rained a little bit, but it wasn't bad. So it was fortunate that it went around. But it was unfortunate that I wasted time. I could have been catching fish by making a run to the dock over there because I was too far away to go to the car. It's a good haul for me to get down here, both driving and just once I get on the water, because I'm probably 2 miles away from the car. But we're going to fish our way back toward it, so when I finish up today, this rod's getting hit. He's got it, buddy. Oh, he just let it go. Yeah, he let it go. Another bite, though. It's 2 bites on the skipjack, nothing on the white bass yet. Nothing's messed with our balloon bait either, to my knowledge. Let me just make sure he ain't. I think we're good on that. He didn't have it. Hit it like he wanted it, but didn't get it. But yeah, man. Y'all come with me today, folks. We're going to try to catch us some fish. Yesterday, I started with 2 suspended rods up front and dragging 2 off the back. And I wanted to put them suspend baits out because I thought that was going to give us our best chance at a flathead yesterday. Because, I mean, it's that time of year, the flathead bite should be picking up too. And sure enough, we got a dang flathead, but it was on the dragging rig. And that's rare for me. I just don't catch a lot of flatheads dragging. Normally when I get them, I'm either suspending or I am cast it out with baits sitting on bottom, like if I'm anchor fishing. So it was a welcome surprise yesterday to get that one on the dragging rig. But the suspend rigs, man, for whatever reason, they were just getting severely outperformed. I mean, and that happens sometimes. Oh, right here. We got one on a balloon rig. I didn't feel him, but I heard him. I heard him pulling back here. Fish number 2. This one ain't gonna be very big. This is gonna be a dink. But it's one that's up near the surface here in 65 feet of water. He actually ate the fly. Old blue kitties ate our fly. And thankfully, at least thus far, not thrown our bait off. How about that? What do you think, Blue Cat? You about skin hooked right here. Let's just. Well, he's hooked better than I thought. I thought we could just pop him free without having to get hold of him. Boy, he is hooked better than I thought. This dang catfish hide is tough as all get out. Well, there's fish number 2. Not much to look at. He left a lot to be desired, didn't he? Oh, now here goes this one. Here goes this one. Let's get this. Do something with that rod right there, y'all. Set that back here. Don't let me forget to throw that back out. We got one on the white bass over here. Oh, now we're hooked up here with I think something's got that one on the skipjack here too. Something hit it. We're going through some fish, man. How about this, y'all? We are in a few minutes into this trip and already hooked up with fish number 3 here and possibly fish number 4 behind us. How about that? Oh, this is fun. I was talking yesterday about how I've been in a slump lately. The spawn just normally you get this post-spawn bite. They're out here on these main channel ledges, and you can just have days like I have had yesterday and now today. But the timing's been off this year. Normally this bite starts 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's a little late for some reason, but it's starting now. And I was just in a slump, man. I just couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. But we're making up for lost time. Sometimes it's just like that, man. I don't know if it's weather, water conditions, timing of the moon phases, who knows? But we're just a little bit late this year. This fish here, he said, better late than never, Justin. He said, I'll get here when I damn well please, and he's gonna pull. See the bubbles coming up there. Oh, he didn't hit that head either. Look at here, he ate the fly too. Look at that. Oh, he threw our head bait off. Let me just set him back a second. I want to check our other rod here. Do we have? Yep, he's on. We got one on our skipjack head here too. Or did he just come off? He just come off. I'll let him have too much time right there. That's all right. We don't want that in no way. Let's just check, make sure our bait's still hooked good. Yeah, it's tore up a little bit. Let's fix this back and get it going back out while we land our other one. We'll do the balloon rig last, since that's kind of just hoping to get something we're hoping to get lucky with on the balloon rig today out here. It's kind of just any fish we catch are going to be a bonus. It's not going to be the main event, so I want to focus on what's going to give us our best chance at trophy class fish today. I hate that he threw that head bait off, though. That's unfortunate, with us kind of being limited on how many head baits we're going to have. Open up, fish, would you? Open your mouth. Normally this fish wouldn't shut up. When you need him to open that mouth, he ain't going to talk to us. You know what, fish? You just be like that then. We'll just take it out just like that. By golly gosh, we showed that fish, didn't we? We didn't even give him no front camera time. Let me set that fly there. Let's cut us another bait. I'll show you how much bait we got left here. We're down to the scraps. We got enough to get through the morning. I mean, we do, but the head baits are just going to be limited. But yesterday, it didn't seem to matter what bait we were throwing. Is if we got it in front of them, they were going to eat it. The biggest one yesterday came on a white bass head, but we got several fish on every cut of bait we threw out. So Not real concerned. I just do have so much confidence in head baits for big fish. But I'm gonna use what we got. I'm gonna try to make another bait run if weather allows, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. I kind of want to get a carp trip in too. I got a lot of fishing I want to do, and not a lot of time to do it in these morning hours. Once it gets past 10, 11 o'clock, it's so damn hot you can't stand it. And I don't like fishing in the evenings because all the boat traffic, so we just get out here in the mornings when the weather allows and have our fun, and then let the Mother Nature and the pleasure boaters have it. You know what I've done. Boy, I swear y'all are just one big blooper every time we fish together. I got my damn fly hung. There it came. I had it hung in my anchor trolley rope. Okay. Let's get our balloon rig going back out now. Man, y'all, 3 fish here just real quick. I'm pretty sure yesterday it took 20, 30 minutes to get our first bite. I can't remember exactly. But then it was on after that. We're in for a good time today, man. I got a feeling we might bust a big one today too. Yesterday, got one that was, I posted it's obviously a lot of you regular viewers already seen it there. I posted it on the Instagram. That's the first time I'd made an Instagram post in ages. But it was almost solid black. Like it was black all the way down to its belly. Very unique fish. All right, we're gonna let out just a little more light on that. Set it back here in this back rod holder, and we're fishing again, man. There's the balloon there behind us. Trusty umbrella to ward off any rain today. I mentioned this yesterday too, but I love it. This is my new UT orange cooler here. My channel members, a couple of them, Will and Lynn Loy, hooked me up with that, and so love it. It stores so much more bait than what my other cooler can do in this kayak. So it's going to be a big help for especially road trips and stuff when I go and I need to pack more bait with me. It's going to make it so much more helpful. So again, big thanks to the Loys for hooking me up. They're awesome. All my channel members are awesome. I'll do some extra videos around the house and whatnot, and post for the channel members, some behind the scenes stuff. And well, I'm a little bit ahead on these videos, so it may not be the last channel members video, but the last channel members video I filmed up to this point, I was talking about my neighbors and my soon-to-be new neighbors. I can't stand those people that are closest beside me there. They've been nothing but trouble since they moved in, and now they're either sold off or going to sell off their front yard, essentially. And they're going to build another house there, and I'm pissed about it. Ain't nothing I'm going to be able to do, but that's the drama there for some of the channel members to get to see behind the scenes. They finally at least done with the excavation. They had a bulldozer in there, an excavator, and they was cutting a driveway in and grading off an area for the house pad. That damn machinery, it would literally, you could feel the walls of my house shaking as this rod shakes here with a fish on it. Oh, he's hooked up, man. That one's hooked up. That one's pulling hard. We're going to keep the kayak moving today too. I've got that course heading set there on the motor. So it's going to keep us going forward, keep our other baits moving as we fight these fish. And with us setting the speed on there at 1/2 mile an hour, it's going to compensate. So like when this fish hits and starts pulling us backwards, these fish, man, if you're just, let's say you're in a kayak, my other kayak, when I don't have the motor, like it'll spin you backwards and they'll tow you. It don't take a big fish to tow you in a kayak, but with this motor, what it's gonna do is it's gonna compensate for that fish pulling and keep us going at 1/2 mile an hour so that our other baits are still moving through at the appropriate speed. Now, if we get a situation where we're doubled up, I'll probably still keep it moving forward just so we don't have to reset everything and take a lot of time, but that'd be one of them situations where you could just possibly just sit there, hit your spot lock and sit there a minute, but these fish have definitely been willing to hit a moving bait, and I done so well yesterday, I don't see a reason to change anything today. Usually, you get on a bite, a pattern, it will usually persist until there's a major change, whether it's a weather system moves through, water conditions change, something major happens, you know, and so I think this bite here is probably going to persist a while. This one ain't going to be as big. He better not have thrown that bait off. That's a bait for big fish there, Blue Kitty. And speaking of fish, here's another one we're hooked up. Let's get rid of this one real quick and get this bait going back out while we reel in the other one. You too small to be working on that bait there, fish. You shouldn't have done it. That one wasn't for you. You can have the one on the balloon rig today. I ain't even gonna bring this one in. He's got that hook. He's got that hook going through the very bottom lip. You'd be a whole lot easier to get hold of if you'd put that hook in the corner of your mouth like they're supposed to do. Fish. This fish ain't heard that circle hooks are supposed to catch fish in the corner of the mouth, apparently. Oh, you know what? Just get your hind end on in here. I'm tired of messing with you. We got another fish on over here. It needs to be reeled in. Oh, it went in the upper lip then, didn't it? Speaking of balloons, it's going down too. We got 3 fish, y'all. 3 of them. Get out of here. Get on now. Man, y'all. Huh. This bait, man, it is tore up. But we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna do what we've been, and we're gonna send it back out. We'll probably switch that bait out here shortly because it is looking rough. But right now, we got all this stuff going on. Well, that balloon's sitting there. I don't know if he's on or not. This one's on in my hand for sure. Something was pulling on it. No, he's still on back there. 3 fish. 2 on the dragging rigs at 60 feet deep right now, and 1 3 foot under the surface. You telling me they ain't in here thick right now? How about that, buddy? Oh, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if it stayed like this all morning. Now, if it does stay like this, we're probably going to run out of bait before I'd be ready to leave, but it's supposed to be blistering hot today, and we ain't got the clouds today that we had yesterday. It's already humid as all get out. So it'll probably be a shorter trip today anyhow, but okay, this one's at least left the bait on. Kind of you there, Blue Cat. At least for now it's on. If he wants to act like that, it may not be on long, will it? Come here. You whoop now. This one's whooped, he don't know it. He don't believe it. I told him, he don't believe me. Listen, fish, I only lie to women. Let's flip our bail over there on the other rod. Yeah, this one's marked up too. I'll show you here in a second. I get hold of him. Come on in. This fish here has been on the nest fairly recently. And when they first come off, you'll notice a couple things with fish that are fresh off the nest. Usually, you'll see them, you'll see them act like that because they're angry. Now you done got yourself lassoed. Oh Lord, fish. He's done knocked both my motor cords, my pulleys off. Y'all brought that fish in too green. You brought him in way too green, and that's how he's acting. I was trying to show you though. You see how his dorsal fin is all marked up here? You get these fish that are fresh off the nest, you'll find them all beat up where they've been protecting their nest, and you'll also notice that they're very skinny. Like this fish here, his head compared to his body, you can tell he's been damn near starved while he's been protecting his nest over the last few weeks. They just don't eat as much during that time while they're on the nest protecting it. So they lose a lot of weight. And then when they come off the nest, they are ready to feed. And they are very active, as we've witnessed this morning. This one, though, missed his chance on any front camera time because he's acting like a dang idiot. Did he throw water all over y'all in that mess? He did. He threw water right in your face, didn't he? It's one thing for that fish to have no respect for me, but to have no respect for you now, that's... I think he even got some slime on there. Bear with me here. I got to clean his face off there. You ain't going to be able to see nothing today. All right. Let's get this mess back out. And then we'll take a look back here at our balloon rig and see if that fish is still on. I think we'll be back in business. The meat of that bait looks good, but the face of it's tore up. That fish done some damage. We should get another fish on it, no problem. Okay. Down it goes. Well, let's see where our... Oh, hell, he's over here, the other side of us. This fish is done, he said he's tired of waiting on us to reel him in. He'll just swim over there to shore, try to find a bank fisherman to unhook him. Let's see, is this a blue or a channel? I think it's a blue. He's hooked right through that bottom lip too. Yeah, small fish. Can I have the hook back, please? Without any lip from you, sir. Don't want any lip from you. You're at least more cooperative than your cohort there a minute ago. He was acting out in this thing. I mean, he's small fish anyway, but it's super skinny. Let's throw another bait on. I've lost count of how many fish that is. Is that 4 or 5? We're tearing them up, man. All depths right through here. I mean, they're just... And hell, if we had a bait down there midway down in the water column, I bet we might get some there too. Put a piece of white bass, a little chunk, on this balloon rig. Let's see what that'll do for us. I'm gonna cut them fins off though. This white bass, a little bit tougher bait than skipjack. It's harder for them to rip it off a hook if you're dealing with small fish. Both of them fish on the balloon rig have been small, so Let's see if we can, if we're gonna catch small fish, we're gonna at least make them have a harder time getting rid of that bait. Especially with us being short on bait. Now let's go ahead and flip that bail over. And get that going there behind us. Okay. Well, I think we got everything back out for the time being until the next fish hits. If these dragging rigs keep producing like they are, we may just eliminate this balloon rod here, just because it's taken so long to put it out compared to the other ones. What I need to do, and I don't have it with me, up there at the Hoover Reservoir tournament, I'd used, in place of that fly on the balloon rig, I was using a bait stalker jig, a 1 ounce jig. And that gives you the ability to actually cast a little bit because of the extra weight. This rig's so light, you can't really cast it with this heavy setup. Plus just the length of the leader there with the balloon in place. So it's difficult to cast. You kind of got to just feed line out. It takes time. I'm impatient today because we're getting so many fish. All right, throw that tail out. Back in it, buddy. In it till the next one. We're at 58 feet of water here now. Y'all got any more water on the lens? Y'all looking good. You got your face cleaned. You ready for the next fish. Man, that's a lot of fish here for the first not even hour yet. We're rolling today. All right. Yeah, we're gonna have us a good day out here and until it gets hot, and then I'll go home and hide out in the air condition. Thankfully, I'll be in peace and quiet today now that all that construction crap beside me is going. It's done for the time being. You know, here's something I wanted to elaborate on and get y'all's feedback on, because I don't have a clue. But when it comes to operating heavy machinery, like bulldozers, excavators, like large pieces of equipment that moves earth. I ain't talking about like a, smaller bobcat, although, I mean, those require a skill too, but I mean, I'm talking large bulldozers. How do you learn how to do that? Is there a school? Is it like a trade school, a vocational school or something that you learn? Is it on the job training? Hold on, our balloon got hit. Something tugged on it. But I can't figure out how the guy that was running the bulldozer learned how to run the bulldozer, because he didn't seem like he knew what the hell he was doing. I had some land cleared back several years ago. A wooded area there. For my channel members, y'all have seen my yard, and my backyard used to be all woods. And TVA come through and they cleared their right-of-way of the trees, and it looked like crap. And I was like, this is as good a time as any. I'm gonna have all this cleared off, make me a nice big backyard. And so I hired a guy, come in, he had a bobcat, and he wasn't worth a damn. And he showed up about 2 days, and then you couldn't get him to come back. So I had to end up hiring somebody else. You know how it is. You can't find anybody worth a damn to work these days. And, but anyway, the next guy come in, he's got a bobcat too, and made pretty quick work of it. And that was a big area, like a lot of trees and everything. Like it was my backyard, I've got 4 acres total. And there's about 3 acres that I mow now. And so a big chunk of that had to be cleared. And when the guy come in, the second guy that actually knew what he was doing on the bobcat, man, he made quick work of it. Like he zipped around there, like it didn't take him long at all. He clearly knew what he was doing. And so having that knowledge, of seeing somebody that knew what they were doing work, and then watching the guy on the bulldozer over there clearing off that house pad, making that driveway and whatnot. I'm watching him on much larger equipment. It took him over a week to get it done. I mean, it's not like it was a big area, you know. You know what I mean? Like, it just took him forever. And I'm like, why is it taking him so long? And I got to thinking about it. It's like, well, he probably just don't know what the hell he's doing. Now, I looked him up. He had a little sticker, as we're getting action here on this run. Something was tugging. He didn't hook up. But he had a sticker. He ain't very good at marketing either, apparently. He's as bad at marketing as he is on the bulldozer. But he had like a little sticker on the side of his truck. And it had the business name and phone number and whatnot. So I looked him up and I found him on Facebook. And of course, he ain't got no damn following on there, but his story is he's tired of working for the man, so he trusted God and went out on his own, make his own business. And so he apparently don't believe in himself too much because he didn't buy any equipment. The equipment he's renting, the bulldozer and whatnot, came from the local heavy equipment rental place, which again goes back to, if I can go over there to the rental place and say, hey, I want to rent a bulldozer for the day and pay the fee, and they'll come drop it off at my house, like, really? I can just hop on a bulldozer and have at it? Seems like you should have to have some kind of license for that thing, or certification or something, just to verify that you know what the hell you're doing. Now, I don't think the guy that was doing this job knew what the hell he was doing, because it took him forever, and it just didn't seem like it was. It didn't seem like it was on the up and up. And of course, his Facebook page, it don't look like it's on the up and up. Basically, you know, in this day and time, and you see this, not just with these, not just like construction stuff, but you see it with like home repair stuff, electricians, plumbers, landscapers. You see all this. These guys, they get on Facebook, they make a Facebook page, they go to Kinko's and get them a business card, and suddenly they're a business. They got no business license. They probably ain't got no insurance, no nothing like that. But by God, they think they advertise themselves as a legit business. And there'll be a guy, he'll be 30 years old, and he'll say he's got 29 years of experience, you know, because he's a carpenter and he started swinging a hammer at 1 year old, so he's got 29 years of experience in the 30 years he's been on Earth. I mean, it's just total crap. You can't hardly find anybody that's legit, you know. I've put a new rule in for myself, like I'm only hiring legit businesses from now on. You pay more, but every time I've took a chance on somebody on Facebook or Craigslist back in the day, whatever, I always get burned. I always end up paying more, because I'm gonna have to hire somebody else to replace them when they either don't show up or they don't do it right. So anyway, this guy, he's obviously been hired off Facebook, and clearly, oh, fish. Well, oh, he tugged on it, but didn't get it. But it just got me thinking. You know, it's one thing to have a handyman service, or if you're mowing yards, something like that. But to have a construction, like land clearing type of business where you're going to be running bulldozers and excavators on somebody's property, I would think you'd need some kind of certification for that, would you not? Like, I wouldn't want to hire Joe Blow off the street that thinks he can run a bulldozer to go clear an area for me. And this area that's cleared off, it's allegedly going to be a house pad. That's apparently what they're doing, going to build a house over there. It don't look very level. I'm like, how level does a house pad have to be? Because this don't look very level to me. It looks like it's on a hill. It's definitely leveled off from where it was, but it don't look, just from the naked eye, just looking at it, I'm like, I I don't know, man. I just got to thinking, I'm like, because I know, for instance, once my yard, the area for my yard was cleared off, there was a lot of trees removed, and so there was some stumps left behind. And I rented a stump grinder from the local rental place, and they come and dropped it off. It was the biggest stump grinder I could get. It was real fancy. Like, you walk behind it, and damn near video game like to cut them stumps. And I mean, it was a pretty large piece of machinery for somebody like me. Now, you know, I'd practiced with it a little bit and got the hang of it. By the time I got to the last stump, I was pretty proficient with it. But like, they dropped that thing off and gave me a little 3-minute tutorial on how to do the damn thing, and it's like, have at it. And I'm like, is that the same way with the bulldozers too? Is it the same thing with an excavator? I don't know. But I'm like, how would people, if there's not a trade school or vocational school, fish, that one's hooked up. That one's hooked up. He's pulling hard. He's pulling hard right there. Back on the white bass. Oh, crap. You know what just happened? Crap, y'all. My motor cord that I didn't pick up has got wrapped up there in my prop. Y'all should have picked up them damn motor cords, and that fish pulled me backwards. I've cut the prop off for now, but now we got our balloon line. It's wrapping around us here. What a mess y'all have caused, because you're too damn lazy to pick up that motor cord. That ornery fish knocked over our cords. We're gonna have a mess. Here I am talking about people needing a damn certification to drive a bulldozer, and apparently I need a certification of some kind to say I'm competent enough to operate a trolling motor on a kayak. This is gonna be a mess. The balloon is over here beside us on this, on this side now, because we're drifting backwards. Oh, that's a good fish too. That's a real good fish, man. We're gonna leave him setting. We're leaving him setting. We're gonna get this balloon rig the heck out of the way before he gets in it. I wanna get that around. I don't want all these damn lines tangled up. We're about to lose this balloon rig, y'all. We've run this balloon rig for an hour. We got 2 small fish on it, but I'll be honest with you, I'm tired of it right here, and it's causing us an extra problem right now as we've got that damn cord up there. I can't believe y'all got that cord hung. And hell, I can't even raise the motor to get to the cord because the cord is wrapped in the prop. Here's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to put y'all here in the seat as this fish here flops around like crazy. I'm gonna take my camera mount down. I'm gonna shimmy my hind end up through here. Wonder if I can sit y'all in the, no, it won't fit. Here, I know what I can do. If we got bloopers going on, y'all might as well watch it, I guess. I'm gonna take my camera mount I gotta take down anyway. We'll stick it here. Okay. Y'all don't be looking at my butt as I climb up here now. That's perverted. This is gonna be a nightmare, man. I can't believe this. You think I should? I should, yeah. Let's just reel this one in too while we're at it, because if we don't, we'll end up regretting it. We'll have it tangled up with everything also. I can't believe this. I can, but I can't. It's always, every time I fish with you people, it's always something, man. Every daggone time. Hold on. I gotta unspin the motor here. Dadgummit, man. Don't try this at home, kids. There. There we go. Okay. I swear, every daggone time, every time I fish with y'all, it's something. We can't have just one damn trip where something don't mess up. Okay. I've done hit my graph here. Here, I'll tell you what, before we get ourselves spun around, let's go ahead and land this fish. This is a good fish right here too. Good fish. He got his moment of fame interrupted for the blooper reel going on because y'all let the damn cords get hung in the motor. I'm sorry, fish. I'm sorry you've been subjected to this. He's embarrassed to be caught by a fisherman like me. He said he's embarrassed. He said he feels like the dumbest fish on the face of the earth to get caught by an amateur like me. Come on in. Maybe next time you can get caught by a professional fish. These people watching at home, they've never made a mistake. They've never goofed up. That's what they tell me in the damn comment box anyway. Let me put our camera mount back up here now. Okay, now here. This fish has been waiting patiently for his moment. So I want y'all to snap a picture for me, would you? Don't do it for me, do it for the fish. At least we're facing into the sun right now, fish. You're getting a dang good picture. That's pretty solid though, man. He's got some of the weight back on him. Actually, this may be a female fish right here from looking at the mouth. But yeah, look, that's a solid fish right there. That's a good one. Get on. I'd like to give a fist pump, but with the events that have just happened here, I can't. At least it was pretty easy to get undone, all things considered. I've had some days, this happened on a live stream a couple times, where I got my fishing line in that prop and had to climb up there and work fishing line out. And them pulleys there I've got set up, it's on paracord, so it's thicker, you know, it don't wrap as easy around that prop, but the fishing line, I mean, it rolls it up on there. So, what an ordeal. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get us spun around and get us back at the speed and direction we need to be going. We'll take a look at the white bass head. We may switch it out. The skipjack head, we're going to switch it out. It needed to be switched out after the last fish, so we're gonna do it for sure. I'm gonna get us on the move. Go right up this direction here. Again, I'm not following a specific contour today. Most of the time you see me fish, I'm really working the edges, I'm working the break lines. I'm not doing that today. I'm just kind of out here in the middle of the river channel. That's where I want to be. These fish are just kind of roaming around. So when I hit this button here on the remote, that one there is your course heading. Whatever direction you're going, that's where it's going to steer you. This one over here is your cruise control. So you push it, it sets your speed at 1 mile an hour. And you take your plus and minus and you can go up and down in 0.1 mile an hour increments. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that should put us down about 0.5 whenever it works its way down. And from there, it will maintain your speed. It will work to, if you've got wind, current, whatever, it will do whatever it takes to try to keep you at that speed. So pretty handy feature when you're doing this style of fishing and you want to keep, when you're fishing multiple rods and you want to keep one of them going forward while you're reeling in a fish on the other one. Yeah, this bait here, it has seen better days, but the whole upper lip is gone. We're going to hook it through. We're going to get one more fish off this thing. We're going to hook it through the back like that. Let's let out some line. I think we got one more skipjack, folks. Unless I'm telling you a lie. Yep, there it is. Got one more skipjack here. Let's cut the head off of it. See if we can get us 2 or 3 fish on this skipjack head, maybe. I think I'm going to leave the balloon rig behind since we're doing so well with this dragging setup. I'm kind of over it, man. I want to focus on what's getting us the better quality fish here. If we were getting big fish on the balloon but things tore up, I would totally keep it out. You know, up there at Hoover in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio, I was getting some better quality fish on the balloon rigs, but it's a different situation up there. You get them thermocline lakes, the thermocline reservoirs. Fish, the bigger fish oftentimes hang out in the upper part of the water column. Down here where I'm at today on Tennessee River, we don't have a thermocline. They get enough current flow in the afternoons that you don't end up getting any thermocline issues. So fish are usually, the bigger fish anyway, usually more oriented toward bottom most of the time. Most of the time. It's not 100% of the time, but it's a percentage play. And, you know, I want to be out here, I want to be giving us the best odds to succeed today. Which I feel like doing this right here, based on yesterday and the success we've had today, I feel like that's the play. So, let's go ahead and flip that one over. We'll let that one take out a little more line. What a mess that was. I can't take y'all anywhere. It's always something. Every time I fish, anytime I do an unedited video, it seems like crap just goes wrong. It's always stupid stuff too. I had a carp trip recently and somehow or another a fish got hung on the front of my kayak, not in the motor, but like up under the kayak on where I've repaired the keel there. Got hung on that and I ended up having to break off. I'm like, how does this stuff happen all the time? Because it's always something. That's fishing though. Hell, I can't even say that's fishing. That's just my life. Something like that's all the time happening to me. All the dang time. But speaking of trades and whatnot, and training, and again, I just feel like, and y'all know more about this than what I do, undoubtedly. I'm sure there's some up out there that do bulldoze and excavating for a living. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on it, but it just seems like a person ought to have some training before they just have at it, you know? I feel like you ought to be able to show some kind of certificate. I mean, first off, the homeowner or the landowner or whoever's hiring these people ought to want to know that this person is competent, other than just having a business card and a Facebook page saying they got 35 years experience when they're 36 years old or something. But there ought to be something, certification, I feel like. I could be way off on that. I don't know. But anyway, I got to have another advanced knowledge, what do you call them? A trade, I guess, a tradesman. I got to have an electrician come to my house soon. I got a problem. I cut my kitchen light off. I'd let Daphne out a couple nights ago. I come back in, I turn my kitchen light off. And you know how like when you've got LED bulbs and you flip a switch, sometimes it like takes a second or two, the light goes off, but it don't fully go off, like it's dim, and it takes 2 or 3 seconds before it fully goes off, if you will. Well, I flipped the light switch off, and I noticed that the light's off, but it's still dim, and it stays dim. Like the dim, like it's getting a very small amount of power, just enough to make it dim, like it doesn't stop being dim. And I thought, that's odd. And so I got up there, I was looking around, and I noticed my light fixture's got water in there. It's got condensation, which again, I thought was odd. However, I looked that up, and apparently it's if your attic is real hot and your house is cool and you've got like a glass, my kitchen light, there's like the light bulbs and there's a glass fixture that goes around it. Apparently the LED bulbs don't get hot enough to burn off that condensation, so you can get moisture in there. So I've got that going on, and then I got the fact that the damn light switch, either the light switch is bad or the whole light assembly needs to be replaced. I don't know. Again, above my pay grade. I don't know. When it comes to electrical stuff, my skills are, I can crimp wires together as them geese won't shut the hell up. Y'all wave as they go by. They've got them a cameo appearance today on the Kayak Catfish YouTube channel. Thank you, geese. Your check's in the mail. Not really. Your check's going to go to pay an electrician, apparently. But I can crimp wires. I can wire my fish finders. Here we go. White bass. We run that hook through the back of it, and we've got another fish on it. This one don't feel too bad either now. We're gonna bust a big one today, y'all. I can feel it in my loins. Yesterday I was getting fun sizers. And then boom, we got that big one there that was almost black. And then the last fish of the day, well, the last fish of the video, I caught a few more after my camera battery died. But the last one of the video, I was like rushing to try to land that fish before my battery died. It was a really good one too. But I think today we're gonna stumble across a whopper. I just feel it in my loins, man. What a difference today is. When I come out yesterday, I was in my slump, when I started. And I just wasn't super confident because, we were 2 or 3 weeks past this bite normally starting. And I thought, man, I'm doing something wrong. Something's changed. I just suck at fishing. Like, I don't know. Like, my confidence was waning. But boy, it's high today. Oh, this fish ain't very big. He's tail hooked. He felt bigger because I'm pulling him in backwards. He somehow got the circle hook in the tail. This fish he's dumber than the other one. Every time you think fish can't get dumber, these things are just like people. Every time you think you've met the dumbest human on the face of the planet, you find somebody even dumber, and it's the same way with these fish. He has got himself. It's one thing to get a stinger fly in the tail, but to get the circle hook in the tail takes talent. I hear you, fish. You done tore your tail up. You done got you a tail piercing. Is that a thing in the catfish world? A tail piercing? Like these humans piercing every damn part of their body. Let's get us another. Do we have another white bass in? Yeah. Yeah, we got more white bass. Actually, I think that's a yellow bass, actually. Either way, we'll cut him in about half right there since he's a smaller one. Is that our last one? That is. We've got our last two head baits here, y'all. It's just one of them days, man. We're down to scraps. I tell you what, though, buddy, there's been a lot of days this year and years past where I've went home where I've had to throw bait out because it's went bad, because I ain't been able to catch nothing with it. So it's better to run through your bait because you've caught a bunch of fish than to go home with a cooler full. Whatever we have left today, I'm gonna dump it because we're gonna make another bait run. If the weather allows, I'm gonna make carp fish tomorrow. Make a bait run the following day. I want to get a carp trip in. I want to try out that soybean meal some more. Give it another chance. But yeah, I gotta hire me an electrician, I guess, come out and just take a look at oh, another fish. As the other rod's going, we're letting line out on it. We got another one to reel in right here. We've come through some more. I'm telling you, man, we're just catching fish all the way up and down through here. They are out of the shallows and back down deep. And they are out here in the numbers, man. It was a nice takedown, but I don't think this one's going to end up being. Okay, he's feeling a little better now. Maybe now I'm caught up with him. I guess he was just swimming at me. Did he just come free? By damn, he did. Well, our bait still looks good, still hooked good. He just come unbuttoned. All right. Well, some more line on both. Y'all botched that somehow. I don't know how you done it. It's a day of bloopers. But yeah, I'm gonna hire an electrician, I guess, come out and see if my switch bad, is the fixture bad, I don't know. That fixture was put in, I got my house in 2006, it was a foreclosure. The place was trashed. So everything was replaced in it with the exception of the bathtubs and the kitchen cabinets. That's the only things that was original in my house. Everything else is brand new as of 2006. But even though it don't seem like it, 2006 was a long time ago. It don't feel like it mentally. It feels like it was yesterday. But in reality, it's 18 years ago. So everything that was new in my house is starting to get a little older. Refrigerator's another thing. My refrigerator's running fine. But I guess when the ice machine is working, it's making ice, it is making a really loud noise, a roar noise. Like you can hear it all the way in my bedroom with the door closed, loud. So I got up and I'm like, what the hell's that noise? And I checked the freezer. I'm like, everything still froze. Like it's working fine. It's just making a loud noise. So again, the refrigerator too, 18 years old. And you know, this ain't like 1970s where you go to your grandma's house and she's had the same refrigerator for forever and it works like normal. Them old refrigerators from the 60s and 70s will last to eternity. As long as there's electricity going to them, they'll stay frozen. This newer refrigerators and freezers, they're 10 years are done. Companies got smart. They wanted to build them with cheaper materials so it would be bigger profits for them. And they want them to crap out quicker. That way you got to buy another one, get some return clients. They smartened up. Unfortunate for us, smart for the companies. But in electrical stuff, again, I can wire a graph, I can crimp wires for my motor. That's the extent of my abilities. So I'll have a professional come out and make sure I ain't gonna burn my house down or something. Either repair that switch or replace the fixture, one of the two. But I'm gonna find me somebody that ain't on Facebook. I ain't looking for no 26-year-old with 25 years experience as an electrician. I want somebody that knows what the hell they're doing. So I'm gonna hire a legit business. I may pay a little more, but peace of mind and people that show up when they say they're going to and they do a good job, that's worth something. That's hard to find when you hire somebody off Facebook. They ain't gonna show up. If they respond to you at all, they ain't gonna show up on time. They're gonna do a crap job and you got to end up hiring somebody else. That's been my experience anyway. Now, everybody I know, my neighbors, the neighbors I hate, they're the ones, the bulldozer man in there, causing all of the ruckus. My neighbors on the other side, they're fairly new. I can't say I hate them yet because I haven't interacted with them. I'm sure I will hate them, but it's still too early to say since they're fairly new. They moved in last year. But they hired somebody last winter, a guy on a Bobcat. And again, I have no idea how to operate a Bobcat. I wouldn't even be able to turn the thing on. Like, I personally couldn't do it. But having hired people to do Bobcat work in the past and seeing competent versus incompetent, I can kind of look at somebody who's on a Bobcat and figure out if they know what the hell they're doing. It's like, and I use the analogy of American Idol. I don't know nothing about the music industry. Like, that's completely not my realm, but I can listen to somebody sing and within a few seconds figure out if they got any talent or not. You don't have to be an executive in the music industry to figure out if Winona Judd has a good singing voice or not. You can just hear it. Same thing with watching Bobcat. Now that I've seen what somebody competent on a Bobcat can do, when somebody incompetent shows up, like this fish is incompetent, he's got a bait with a hook in it right there. What an incompetent fish. He don't feel very big at all. Is he? I don't know what's going on. Is this even a fish? Am I just pulling in my bait or something that's foul hooked, or? Yeah, I'm pulling in my bait. My bait was foul hooked or something. I'm like, if this is a fish, it's extremely small. Okay, at least he didn't tear up the bait. Back out it goes. But anyway, my neighbors on the other side of me, who I don't hate yet, but will undoubtedly, they hired a guy on Bobcat to come in last winter, and my yard is cleared and got the fence. On the other side of the fence is all grown up. It's got kudzu all over it. And so they bring in this guy on Bobcat, and he's, from what it looks like, he was going to clear all that kudzu out and expand their yard over toward me this way and also their backyard. But this dumbass, he's on that Bobcat and he ain't taking it like a section at a time. Like, he does a little bit over here, and then he goes over here and does a little bit, and he does a little over here, and it's back. And he spent 2 days, and I think I told this story on one of these unedited videos, but I'm in my house one day and I hear yelling going on. And I thought it was the girl in front of me, because sometimes her and her, I guess it was her old lover, I don't know. Sometimes they would have these like yelling matches. Like, you'd hear, they'd be yelling so loud, I'd hear it inside my house, and I'd go out there, just stand on my carport and just watch the show. Nothing is better than drama that you're not involved in. So I thought it was her having a little lover spat. And I go out there, and no, it ain't her. It's the neighbors that's hired Bobcat man. And the girl is yelling at him, and I heard part of it. She's like, "You've been here for 2 days, and this is all you've gotten done?" Like, she was pissed, because he hadn't accomplished anything in 2 days. I mean, nothing. Like, that was a one-day job. And At least I would think so anyway. And he hadn't accomplished anything in 2 days except make a mess. And so I thought, well, I guess he's going to be there all week fixing it. Well, he was gone after that and never come back. And so they've had a mess over there in their yard. And of course, kudzu. If any of y'all don't know about kudzu, it is the devil's vine, man. That stuff, especially this time of year, we got fish here hitting. And they're nipping. This time of year, man, when you get into the hot part of summer, these hot, humid dog days of summer, that kudzu will grow a foot a day. I mean, those vines will choke out everything. And so the guy had made such a mess, he cleared out part of it, but not all of it. And if you're going to clear kudzu, you've got to clear it to ground level and you got to keep it mowed off, or else it'll be right back. And sure enough, you can't even tell. Other than the debris piles he left, which they tried burning back in the winter, but it was too wet. You wasn't going to catch it on fire in the winter with all the rain we was having. Other than the debris piles, you can't even tell that Bobcat Man was ever there. Like whatever they paid him for them 2 days of work, complete waste of money because he did such a piss poor half-ass job. So, again, you better hire somebody. You better make sure they know what the hell they're doing if you're going to spend money on them. Because you just never know if they're going to show up, and if they do, what kind of work they're going to be able to do. And I ain't trying to say like I could do a better job. I couldn't. Hell, I don't know a damn thing about operating a bobcat or a bulldozer or nothing else. Like I couldn't get out there and do it better. But it's the same thing with American Idol. Like I can tell if somebody sucks at singing. It don't mean I can sing better than they can. I can't. And you sure as hell don't want me serenading you on this video. But I know what good singing sounds like. So if your neighbor Patty, who thinks she's a rock star singing in her shower, gets up on American Idol and she don't sound like Winona Judd, well, it's pretty obvious to the world. Patty just needs to keep to the shower. And it's the same thing with these bobcat guys. Like if they got their own property they want to get out there and dick around on, fine. But if you're taking money from people and doing these land clearing projects, you best at least have some skill, you know? You better have some skill. But I just ain't how it works this day and time. You see it with fishing guides too. Now, just circling back to just fishing, this is a fishing video. You see it with fishing guides, man. I've seen some of these guides. The new thing now, if you fail as a YouTuber, if you can't hack it as a YouTuber, well, fish. Oh, did he just drop it? I thought for sure that one hooked up. Oh, he dropped it too. But yeah, the new thing now, and y'all have probably seen this, people, there's a ton of new fishing guides hitting the fishing world. It's all these failed YouTubers. They tried being a YouTuber and they couldn't make it. So they take the 100 subscribers they have and they try to get them to book a fishing trip. Now, why the hell these people, the 100 subscribers they have, would want to book a trip, I don't know, because they didn't catch no fish on video. So you think it's going to be any better when you hire them as a fishing guide? I doubt it. But that's a new thing. It's kind of the same thing as somebody marketing themselves on Facebook as being able to operate a bulldozer, and then they show up and don't know what the hell they're doing. It's kind of the same thing as a failed YouTuber that can't catch fish on video, going to all of a sudden be a fishing guide. It's like you think they're suddenly going to start catching fish because the camera ain't rolling? I doubt it. But this old, what was it, P.T. Barnum, the circus guy, said there's a sucker born every minute. So I've been the sucker a few times on some projects around the house. That's been me. I have fallen for the 30 years of experience from the 31-year-old. Never again, though. I'll pay more. I paid more when my AC unit went out, but I had a reputable company, and although the guy messed it up, he did come back and took responsibility for it and fixed it. And I'll pay more for this electrician when I find one. That's today's project, and I get home, go look that up. Meanwhile, I've took the bulb out of the kitchen light fixture, just in case. I don't want the house burning down. That'd be one of the worst things that could, I feel like it anyway, that's one of the worst things that could happen to a person, aside from a health problem. Your house burning down is not as bad as a cancer diagnosis. Certainly not. But on the list of stuff that could possibly go wrong in your life, I think your house burning down has got to be up near the top. It's got to be up there at least top 3 to top 5 for sure. Like, I mean, I think a major problem with your health would have to be number 1. Like if you were, like this fish here, he's got a problem with his health because he's got a hook in the jaw, and this one's going to stay buttoned up. I know this one is. If y'all can't land this fish, I'm going to get me some new fishing buddies. Somebody that knows how to reel a fish in, because y'all botched too many of them already today. And this is another one that feels pretty good. But if he's anything like the others recently, he's going to be foul hooked, and we're going to get him up here. He's going to be a dink that's got a hook in the tail. But he does feel good for now. I don't think we'll catch any flatheads today. With us dragging and not doing any suspending as we move along, but we did get that one flathead yesterday, so they're in here, and there was at least one willing to hit a dragging rig yesterday. This one here is 52 feet, by the way. I ain't been updating you on the depth changes, because honestly, I really don't care with it. With us not running suspend rigs, we ain't got to compensate for depth changes. Our dragging rigs are just dragging bottom, so I'm just trying to keep us kind of in that old original river channel. That was the original before they made the reservoir, you know. That's where I'm trying to keep us today. We ought to be getting close to this in here now. He ain't as big as I thought. I don't know that I don't think he's foul hooked or nothing, but he's nowhere near as big as I thought. Fish, you've pulled one on me. You've bamboozled me, fish. I hope you feel bad about it. He don't feel bad about splashing around like that either. This old fish he's got a bad attitude's what he's got. He just thought he'd show out today. This is like Sylvester Stallone winning the arm wrestling championship in that movie Over the Top from the 80s. You know, Stallone wasn't nowhere as big as them other guys, but he was able to win that arm wrestling championship and impress his son. That fish right there, all skinny as all get out, but he was pulling with some might. If you ain't watched Over the Top, very underrated 80s movie. I watched it again a few months ago. It'd been the first time I'd watched it in years. Very underrated. I wish they would go back to making movies like they did in the 80s. Now everything, and I like superhero movies, don't get me wrong. I liked them until they started making everybody a superhero. But it's kind of overdone. I miss just the old 1980s movies where you had a simple storyline, some likable characters, and you had an hour and a half, 2-hour movie. I miss those days. I don't know why we can't get back to that. Someday when I take over Hollywood, things are going to be different. I don't even remember what I was talking about now. I done got completely sidetracked with that fish. I can't even remember what I was going on about. It didn't matter no way, I don't guess. I'm just rambling on about stuff in life, man. I'm getting older physically, but mentally, I think I stopped aging, and mentally I stopped aging in the year 2000. Because I'll think about something and it'll, like my house, getting it in 2006 and, you know, all these fixtures and everything being new in 2006, it still feels new to me. This fish right here don't feel new. That's what's causing me to lose my train of thoughts, all these damn fish biting. I'm gonna ask this fish why he keeps doing this to me. I'm not gonna say that I think this one feels pretty good, because we'll get him up here and he won't be. He does feel pretty good though. Part of them feeling good is just the fact that the kayak is moving forward. So we are not only fighting the fish, but we are also fighting the resistance of the fish being pulled along at a half a mile an hour too. So there's that also. But the last fish was definitely like Stallone and Over the Top, circa 1980 something. Underrated movie. I thought the kid in that movie was a brat though. Like, I felt like he needed an ass whooping for how he was acting. I couldn't have acted like that in the 80s. I'd have got a whooping. But that's the difference in my parents and the parents in the movies back then. That's half the problem with the kids today. Yeah, this fish here, he's a little bigger than the last one maybe, but still not as big as what I thought he was. Maybe my arm's just getting tired of him. If y'all would help me reel in some fish today, maybe my arm would have a break, and then these fish wouldn't feel as big. Get it out of your system. I know you ain't done. I know you ain't. Okay. Yeah, you're another one this is a long fish. Really long, but skinny. They'll get their weight back on here in a month or so. They're gonna be feeding heavy between now and then, and it'll just be the fishing from now, you know, when the post-spawn finally starts, from now all the way up through fall, it's just gonna get better and better. The numbers won't be as good. The numbers are gonna be really good right now in addition to some big fish. Now, as you get on in 3 months from now, our numbers may fall off, but the quality is gonna continue to get better because the fish they're gonna have their weight back on them. Either way, it's a good day out here. I mean, I've lost track of how many fish we've got, but I mean, it's been several. And considering we're running 2 rods, like that's, you know, I mean, it's a lot of fish for 2 rods. Now, if we were running 6 or 8 rods in a boat or something, we'd done be out of bait. We may end up catching the same number of fish, but we'd be out of bait. But you can come out with 2 rods, and if you are fishing where you need to be at the time you need to be there, 2 rods is plenty. My other kayak, my Old Town kayak with the pedals, I've fished 2 rods in it just because I've only got 2 rod holders on it. Well, I've had some great days of fishing in that thing. It's just being where you need to be when you need to be there. And if you ain't where you need to be when you need to be there, it don't matter how many rods you've got out, how many baits. If there ain't no fish there, then you ain't gonna catch them. You can't catch what ain't there. Flip that bail over. We ain't gonna run these things very far behind us. We ain't having to. The water ain't real choppy or nothing. The wind is starting to blow a little bit, which I'm okay with because it's hot as it is. A little breeze feels pretty good, but it's blowing down river, so our speed is easily controlled by going into it. And I wanted to go this direction, and I covered this yesterday a little bit too for those of you that watched that video, but in the event that they kick some flow on, if they start generating at the dam before we leave today, and we're a long ways from the dam, so I don't know, even if they did turn on the generators, I don't know if the flow would get to us before I leave. But if that happened, the flow would be coming this way. And so I want to, if I'm fishing in current and I'm dragging, I want to be going into the current. If you try to go with the current dragging, then you have to go faster than the current, because otherwise your dragging sinker is going along bottom, right? It's meeting resistance. It's getting slowed down. So if you're trying to go slower than the current or at the speed of the current, your leader is going to get pushed forward in front of your sinker. Sometimes it'll get wrapped up in your sinker, but other times it'll actually be in front of it. And that sinker, the long tubular style sinkers, I got another one here, I'll show you. What you want with this setup, and again, imagine this on a three-way with your bait here floating up behind it. You want this as you're coming across the river bottom, coming across logs and objects and stuff, like you want this hitting that, coming up and over those objects, and your bait floating behind it. If your bait's out here in front and it's getting to those logs first, your bait's going to get caught in the log, your sinker's going to come up there and meet it, and you're going to have a tangled mess. So that's why it's just easier to go into the current. That way you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. But if you do want to go with the current, you just got to go faster. If the current's a half a mile an hour, go 0.7, 0.8, just to keep everything, your bait behind your sinker. But I find it best to go against the current if you have it, which I don't think we're going to have any today, because I ain't going to fish much longer. It's hot, man. It is hotter than damn it already. The breeze is nice, but the breeze is just blowing hot air, which many of y'all probably say that's exactly what I do, blowing hot air. Yeah, I'll go home today, look around for a reputable electrician. I'm sure many of you all are probably out there to do electrical work and will probably comment in the comment box offering to help, and I appreciate that. Thanks in advance, but by the time you're seeing this video, I've probably already got it done, so too late this time. I did have a fellow, though, that commented, I wanted to say it was last fall. I had talked about how last fall I put up a fence. I expanded my fence. And I was having difficulty finding some of my property boundary markers, the pins. And I had a guy comment, said he worked with a survey team and that he would gladly come out and help me locate my pins. And I did reply to him because I was going to take him up on that. I would love to. I've still got 2 pins that I can't find. They're buried in brush, and I can't locate them. I know approximately where they are, but I don't know where the exact marker is. And I replied, but I never could get a reply back from him. But I would have totally taken him up on it. Getting a survey right now, man. Bear with me, I had to get me a big gulp. Getting a survey right now in East Tennessee, it's impossible. Impossible as us catching this fish. Look at this thing. Is he gonna get it? If he don't get it, I want him to leave it alone. It's our last skipjack head, and they're gonna chew it to pieces. But, you know, I've been griping for months how Tennessee is full of people. Everybody's moving here. any strip of land they're putting an apartment complex on or subdivision. And I guess because of all the development going on, survey teams, survey crews are just, they're in such high demand you can't get one. And I had called around there last fall because I'd had my property surveyed years ago, and I should have marked all my pins then, but I didn't. But I'd already had it done. I thought, well, I'll just get the original company and then come back out and find them pins for me. It shouldn't be a full fee. Hell no, buddy, it is, and it's even more. They went up. All these survey companies have damn near doubled or tripled in price in the last few years because demand's so high. And they'll tell you, not only have they doubled and tripled in price, but if you want to hire one of them, expect to wait a few months because they're so far behind. So if you're looking for a job right now, and I don't know how long it takes to learn a skill, and do you even need is it an on-the-job training or do you have a certification? I don't know. But I mean, if you was looking for a job that's in demand right now, getting into surveying, buddy, that's an opportunity for you. Name your price. You'll have all the work you can handle. I just said, hell with it. I'm waiting on TVA to come, and the two pins I can't find are under them power line areas, and they're covered in brush. And TVA only comes once every few years to do something about it. They did spray this year. Normally, one year they spray, and then a couple years after that, they'll come and bring their big machinery in and mow everything down to ground level. And I'm waiting on them to get everything down to ground level, and then I can get in there and find it. But it's so thick with briars and blackberries and kudzu and all that, like you just can't navigate through that mess. There's something dead right over here in the water. I don't know. It's some kind of fish. I don't know what it is. Maybe a cat. I think it's a cat. If it was something usable, I ain't above. If something dead or half dead comes floating down through here, I ain't above grabbing hold of it and cutting it up. I'm pretty sure though that's a cat right there. Small cat, it's a cat. Boy, what was that behind us? I wonder if that was a paddlefish. Yesterday, I saw a bunch of paddlefish on my way down through here. Now, I did get on the water a little bit earlier yesterday, but there was a lot of paddlefish. And you'll if you're looking in the right direction, when they come up, you'll see them, and they'll just come up and make this huge splash, because, I mean, they're all 50 plus pounds. But you'll see it's paddlefish, because you'll see the long nose on them. But that's a morning time thing. But I wasn't seeing a bunch of them splashing today. That may have been what that was there behind us, though. Either that, or we got a great white shark of some kind about to get us here. I'm ready to do some shark fishing again, man. I contemplated taking off and just heading down to the beach. I'm definitely going down there. I think it's going to be Thanksgiving week. If we can get a week at this place. The place I've went to the last couple years is a timeshare resort, and I don't own a timeshare. It's not my cup of tea. I don't have any desire to ever own a timeshare. Seen too many of them infomercials of people trying to get out of their timeshares. So I don't want to ever fool with that. But what I've done, and 2 years ago, I went down there with Elias from Elias V Fishing. And him and his wife, they actually have 2 weeks or 3 weeks of timeshares at that particular resort. And so I went down there and fished with him then. And then last year, I went to that same resort, with my girlfriend, we'd rented somebody else's week, just paid them cash, and then we used their week. And so I'm gonna try to do that again this year. And we're wanting to go Thanksgiving week, because her birthday is that week, and she's got an office job. She works in healthcare administration, so she's off on Thanksgiving day after anyway. So there's between her birthday and the fact she's off, she don't have to take much vacation time for that week. And my family, we don't do anything for Thanksgiving. I mean, we never really did much. Used to, we'd go to my grandparents' house, but my grandparents, they've been dead for years. And so since then, we don't really do much. We'd usually go out to eat somewhere, either Shoney's or go to Cracker Barrel or one of these restaurants that's way overpriced with terrible food on Thanksgiving. And we'd eat dinner, and my parents would go home, I'd go home, and that'd be it. So it ain't like we've got like some family tradition I'm missing out on by going on vacation basically for Thanksgiving week. And the girlfriend's the same way with her family. You know, they eat, but it's not like it's a big traditional thing they've got going on. So she's not missing out on anything. So we're going to try to go back down there. If we can get a week at that particular resort, we're going to try to go Thanksgiving week. And I'm definitely going to do some shark fishing then. But I've contemplated just taking off and going for a few days. It's a long drive to get down there, but I have considered doing it just because I'm in the mood, man. I am in the mood to catch some sharks. There goes Mr. Bullet Man. Bet you his boat's $80,000. I saw him, he's a nice guy. He had put in right before I launched this morning, and so as I was coming down the ramp, he was walking down to get to his boat, and we exchanged some pleasantries. Nice fella. We had a nice couple sentence conversation, but he didn't linger. He just went on his way. And for bass fishermen, I suppose he was a pretty nice guy. The group as a whole, though. That's another thing. It's funny how you get jaded, I guess, towards certain, like, I'm friends with some bass fishermen. You know, I have, one of my good friends there, pro moderator, bass fisherman. But I've had enough bad experiences with bass fishermen on the water that just the group as a whole, just bass fishermen in general, I don't like them. And it's funny how your interactions can shape your opinion. Like, just for an example, I'll give you another example. Jehovah's Witnesses. I have very, very limited interaction with Jehovah's Witnesses, but I worked with one time. Super nice girl. Just a nice human being. And she was great to work with if you had to work holidays, because Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate holidays. Christmas, birthdays, like they don't acknowledge that kind of thing. And working in healthcare, I was a nurse before this YouTube crap took off, working ER. When you work in a hospital setting, you're going to have to work holidays. Like, you're going to work, they call them major holidays, like your Christmas. You're either going to work Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Thanksgiving Day, or the day after. You're going to work one of those two all the time. You're going to rotate. And then your minor holidays, they call it, which some of them aren't even holidays. Like, it might be Memorial Day, because a lot of people like to do stuff on Memorial Day weekend, or Halloween, which Halloween's not really a government holiday per se, but a lot of people will do stuff with their kids, dress up and trick or treat and stuff. So it's a day a lot of people like to take off. That's considered a minor holiday at most of these hospitals, so you'll have to do your major holidays, either one day or the other, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day type thing. And then your minor holidays, you have to do 2 or 3 of those a year, whatever it works out to. And so if you're friends with a Jehovah's Witness at work, they'll work all your damn holidays because they don't care. You know, like they're not celebrating anything anyway. So if you're friends with them, and this girl, she wouldn't say no to nobody, which was, you know, easily taken advantage of, but super sweet girl. So now, because of her, and I'm very curious about stuff like that. Anytime you meet somebody that's in I wouldn't say Jehovah's Witnesses is an odd religion, but it's certainly you know, it's not mainstream, if you will. And so anytime I meet somebody like that, and you're working with somebody on a 12-hour shift, you got to talk about something. It's going to come up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to pester the hell out of them with questions. Fish. There we go. We were going through a little, I won't say it's a drought, because it ain't been that long since we caught a fish, but it's the longest we had went without a bite, I think, since we started today. Don't let me forget to finish up the Jehovah's Witness story, y'all. These fish keep distracting me today, and I can't half get through what I'm talking about, but don't let me forget about the Jehovah's Witness. And I don't want to say this, but I'm going to. This fish feels pretty good. They have all felt good today. I hope he leaves this head on. I'm probably going to send it back down if it's in somewhat decent condition, because it's our last one. I'd love to switch it out. Hell, I'd love to put a new head on ever fish, but skipjack's been tough. Been having to grind for them. I'm wondering, with the catfish being so late coming off the nest, if the skipjack, if they're just not really far behind too, if I've been trying to catch them in places they just ain't got to yet. Yeah, that head bait's still on for now. He's a fun sizer. Smaller fun sizer, but fun sizer nonetheless. Come here, kitty. Where yin's been? We're getting on up through here now. I'm gonna need yins to show up a little bit more frequently. Got spooled there first thing. Yeah, I may give this a little front camera time. He may have earned a little front camera time here today. Come here. Oh, you little jerk. You threw that head off there last minute. I oughtn't give you no front camera time now. I probably will anyway, but you done gone and done it, fish. I'm not, if there's ever a catfish review site, I'm leaving you a negative review, fish. Let me set you up there again. Don't take a picture of this fish though. Don't do it, he don't deserve it with how he's done. But I mean, you can see smaller fun size. Fun size length, skinny. Just doesn't weigh very much. But they'll get bigger. They're gonna fatten up. Lots of food out here for them to eat. All over, man. There's tons of bait fish everywhere. So they go on a buffet gorge, they're going to be able to put that weight on quick. We are going to have to put on a new bait though. And so I guess we'll go with the chunk. We got a white bass head on the other rod over there, so let's do a skipjack chunk on this one. And honestly, we probably here in the next little while, if it's not getting hit, and probably, truth be told, the reason we weren't getting hit while we went through that little dry spell, I'm guessing is because our baits were so bad, such bad condition. We probably need to switch out that white bass head soon. Put on a chunk. I know you're disappointed, and I am too, that we're out of heads, but I think that's probably the cause of our drought. about to work our way in. We're 53 feet now right here, but we're going to work our way up to another hole. And I have caught fish in that hole before, so I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and find us a chunk here of this white bass, and we'll go ahead and cut it, and then we'll reel in our other line. Let's go ahead and do it. And then I got to finish telling you about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Get that thing cut off, okay. We'll take a look at that head when we reel it in, but I'm thinking it's probably past time. The other issue, not only just the number of fish we've had biting on these baits and stuff and squeezing that oil and blood out of them, the other issue is the water temperature. It's 82 degrees. Your baits bleed out a little quicker in the warmer water. Oh hell, we've been stripped clean. That's why that rod ain't getting hit. We ain't got a bait on it, so we don't even have to worry about that head bait because it's gone. We've been fishing on credit down there. Back down it goes where it stops in the fish's mouth. So, Jehovah's Witness. Anyway, this girl, she's Jehovah's Witness, and she was super nice and very calm down. You know, I'm sure I drove her crazy with my endless questions about her way of life. But, you know, she was a good sport about it. And because of that, I have a pretty positive opinion of other Jehovah's Witnesses, even though they're people like everybody else, and people generally annoy me. There's going to be good Jehovah's Witnesses, bad Jehovah's Witnesses, just because that's human nature, that's people. But I have a positive opinion of the entire group because of my interaction with her. Conversely, though, on the opposite end of that spectrum is the people who are, and I always get this word wrong, apostolic or apostolic. They are a group who are they're kind of conservative, I guess you will. The women are kind of plain. They don't cut their hair. They wear skirts instead of pants, and skirts and dresses, no pants. That's about all I know about their religion, to be honest with you. But here's the thing. When I look at the people who have been apostolic, it's one of those two, you know what the hell I'm talking about. When I look at my interactions, so my neighbors there that I hate that live closest to me, they're part of that group, apostolics. And I've had bad experiences with them since they moved in. And then I had went to nursing school back in the day with the girl who was apostolic. And she was a you-know-what, a C to the T. You can fill in the letters in between. Like, she was just snooty, better than everybody, knew everything. Just, I couldn't stand the girl. I mean, I couldn't stand her. And she was one of them, you know, because she'd come in there, skirt on, hair so long it would hang down past her butthole, but she'd have it up in a bun that would look damn near like a beehive because she had so much hair. I don't know how women with hair that long, like, how do they not set on it? Like, so let's say they've ate Taco Bell at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're running to the commode. Like, their butthole's about to explode, diarrhea, explosive diarrhea. And you got that long hair, and you sit down. Like, I have to believe at some point in time they've crapped all over their hair because it's too damn long. You shouldn't have hair down past your butthole. I'm sorry. It's just, it's not attractive, ladies. It's not. If you got hair down past your butthole, it ain't attractive. And I know it's a religious thing with them apparently, but I can't imagine that whatever God that they're partaking in wanted them to crap on their hair. I can't imagine that their God would ever want them to doo-doo on their hair. But it has to happen. So anyway, though, bottom line is I've known very few apostolics, but my experience with all of them has been very bad. Like they are just people that I cannot deal with. And so therefore, even though I'm sure there's probably some really good apostolic people out there, I have a negative view of the entire group because of my interactions with those limited people that I've dealt with, which all of them have been just unbearable. My neighbors, the worst people to possibly live beside. That girl I went to school with, just a C to the T, man. Just unbearable. So, yeah. It's kind of weird how that works. But in the end, humans, if you're dealing with humans, you're going to have some good ones, you're going to have some bad ones. Some people are going to irritate you. You just ain't going to jive with them personality-wise. But I think when you've got just a limited interaction where you only know one or two of them, it can really form your opinion on the whole group. That Jehovah's Witness girl, man, I'm telling you, if you work in healthcare, recruit you some Jehovah's Witnesses to come work in your department, because if you will befriend them and ask them first, they will work all of your holidays. Every one of them. That is the best friend you can have working in healthcare. If you want holidays off. Then let's be real, most people do. So, make friends with Jehovah. The apostolics probably wouldn't lift a finger to help you. They're better than you, because you cut your hair and they don't. I just can't imagine having hair that long. Like, how long would it take to wash that hair? And the only thing you can do with hair that long is either let it dangle down to your butthole, or put it up in some bun that ain't really, it's more like a loaf. It ain't a bun. There's so much hair, it's like a loaf of bread or something. Yeah, there's too much of it. But every time I see one of them, I see my neighbor's wife out there, and her hair's down to her butthole, and the girl I went to school with, hair. If I see any girl out with hair down to her butthole, the first thing I think of is 2 a.m., they've had Taco Bell, their whole colon is going to explode, and they forget to pull their hair up. What happens? And like, even if they move their hair around, like maybe they do this sweeping motion and they bring it down over the front of their shoulders, then they're going to be peeing all over it when they're sitting there, right? Because then it's going to go down between their legs in the front. So either way, they're either going to get pee-pee or poo-poo all over their hair. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. And at least look at this bird, look at this osprey. Can you see it right there? I hope it ain't too far away. He's got him a fish. That's a pretty big fish too for that size bird, but he's got him breakfast, lunch, and dinner right there. Everybody's catching fish out here today, y'all. Me and you, we catching them. Damn birds are catching, everybody catching fish out here. But, at least the apostolics, whatever, at least they're not cutting their hair for some religious purpose. What I really don't understand is girls who grow their hair out to their butthole just for the hell of it. Like I saw this girl, we went to Las Vegas there a few months back. We were standing in line at the Spear. Hold on. I got slobber hung in my throat, y'all. Let me wash it down. I need to be drinking more today anyhow because it's hot. But we were standing in line to go into the Spear. It's that big snow globe looking thing out there in Las Vegas. Awesome to go into, by the way. The first part of the show was kind of a dud because you're just walking around looking at these robots and exhibits and stuff. It was kind of lame. But the actual show, like inside the Spear, incredible, amazing. Highly recommend it. But we're standing out there in line, and because we got there, I can't remember, our show was like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock or something. So we got there early, which they won't even let you in before the show time. Like they don't open the door. So everybody's just waiting in line out there, just gazillions of people. And there was this girl behind us, and she had really long hair, like down past her butthole. And of course, you know, that's where my mind goes immediately. Taco Bell, 2 o'clock in the morning, colon explosion. But this girl, she clearly wasn't one of the very conservative girls, you know, with some religious reason for having her hair like that. Like she was out there, she basically had like a tank top and a biker vest on and piercings all over and some tattoos and stuff. So like she wasn't what you would think of as apostolistic or nothing. Like she was just, I guess it was style for her to have her hair down to her butthole. But she also, I was looking back, I wasn't, you know, watching her or anything closely, but she was pointing at something. She was there with some other people and pointing at something, and she raised her arm and she had a bunch of armpit hair. Not only did she not cut the hair on her head, but she didn't cut her armpit hair either. And, you know, that's one of them cultural things, I guess. And I don't know when that started in America, because you got to figure in the old days, like 1800s, early settlers of America, they probably weren't shaving their armpits and legs and stuff back then. And I actually remember now, come to think of it, that TV show, it's the Yellowstone prequel. What was it, 1860, 1836, 1820? 18 something with Tim McGraw and Faith Hill in it. It was an excellent show. Awesome show to watch. But it was the Yellowstone prequel where they were moving out west there. I remember there was a line in there. Faith Hill was talking. They were in a city staying, and she was talking about how she made some comment about how girls are going to be shaving their legs or something now. And so, you know, I don't know when that started in American culture that people do that. But now when you see a girl that hasn't shaved her pits, it gets your attention. You're like, oh. And there's some girl, and I guess because I've maybe talked about this before, or just because social media they know us so well, they can damn near read our minds now. Like, if I scroll through TikTok, they must think I like it, because there's undoubtedly going to be, at some point, if I scroll through 20 videos, there's going to be one of them with a girl that either hasn't shaved her pits or she's got some bikini bottom on with hair kind of hanging out part of it. Because that's a thing there. That's a whole genre, apparently, on TikTok, is girls who don't shave, and they film themselves in such a way where you see part of the hair. Now, they ain't talking about the hair necessarily. They'll talk about random life stuff. They're vlogging on there, but they've got their hair from their nether regions showing. And I guess TikTok thinks I like it or something. Hell, I don't know, because if I scroll through 20 videos, I'm going to see one of them girls. But it's effective, by God. I always slow down. When I see one of them, I always take a look. It's like I drive by a car wreck. You ain't wishing a car wreck on anybody, but when you see one, you're gonna rubberneck, you're gonna take a look. It's like that when they got their hair from their nether regions hanging out their drawers. But that girl out there in Las Vegas, she had armpit hair. I bet you her nether regions was a full grown too, but her hair on her head was down past her butthole. And I just have to believe at some point in time they have doo-dooed on that hair. I mean, and then you start thinking too, like, forget the toileting issues. Let's just say they're in bed, they're just sleeping. Like, if your hair is that long, and I've personally never had long hair. And of course now I ain't barely got any hair, so I never have to worry about that again. But even back when I could grow hair in my younger days, I never had long hair, like not even shoulder length, nothing like that. I always had a normal haircut. Not that long hair ain't normal, but you know what I mean, just a standard man's haircut. But I can't imagine having hair that long. You're trying to sleep, like, wouldn't it get like wrapped up in your arms when you go to roll over? Like, wouldn't you, like if you toss and turn at night, is it possible you'd have your hair like all the way around your body? Like a daggone boa constrictor or python wrapping you up? Like, it seems like it would be a pain in the ass even to sleep with long hair. And then when the apologistics got their hair up in a bun or a loaf of bread there on top of their head, all wrapped up, that's a lot of hair, especially if a woman has thick hair, which a lot of them do. You know, typically you get an older woman, she's got thicker hair than a man does. Like, that's a lot of weight you're carrying around on your head. Wouldn't your head get tired after a while? Wouldn't it maybe cause you to have headaches? Just carrying around that kind of weight on your head? Because it's got to be a few pounds. I mean, if you got long, thick hair all the way down to your butthole, it's got to be a few pounds when you roll that stuff up. And then when you shower, like, you know, you get a bunch of hair in your shower drain. And you fellas know this. If you're dating a girl or if you got a wife and she's got hair that's shoulder length or longer, these women shed, like they shed something terrible. It gets all down in your shower drain right there. And I'm thinking, man, I know the hairballs I've had to pick out of my shower drain from the girlfriend showering there. Like, take those hairballs and multiply it by an extra 3 feet of hair strands. I mean, it's just, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I mean, you know, religious stuff, I guess they got to do what they got to do, but just a normal girl like this girl out there in Las Vegas who didn't seem to be apostolic, she just more of a biker than anything with the getup she was wearing. Well, she just had something against, and I wanted to ask, but how do you bring it up? You can't just be like, why don't you shave your armpits? You can't do that. That's rude. You can't. And I'm not a good enough conversationalist that I can just start talking to her, even if it's somebody like her who was clearly interesting. She was obviously an interesting human being, somebody that you would just want to ask, like if there was some YouTube video or podcast where you could just walk up to random people and be like, look, I want to ask you 10 questions. I could easily figure out 10 questions I wanted to ask that girl, but you can't do it. You know, you just can't, at least without not looking rude anyway. That's where you almost wish, and I'm not into kids, like I'm not a kid person. I don't do well with kids. But you know how kids are like unfiltered? You know, kids will ask you anything and they'll say anything. That's where you almost need a kid with you to be like tugging on her biker vest or something, like, ma'am, why don't you shave your armpits? And then just like pretend like you don't see what your kid is doing. like do the long turnaround, like you're not paying attention to your kid, and that way there's a big enough time period before that you allegedly notice that the girl has to answer your kid so that you would get some kind of answer out of her. I don't get it though. I don't understand it. But they do stand out. I mean, if they're wanting attention, it does work for that, because if I see a girl with a bunch of armpit hair, or if she's got short shorts on and legs hairier than mine, like, I'm going to notice, like, it's going to get attention. And this day and time, it don't matter if it's good attention or bad attention, people just want attention. I mean, you know, like I said, if I scroll through 20 videos on TikTok, one of them's going to be hairy armpits. I'm probably going to see a breastfeeding video. Like these girls, they pop their titties out on video and start feeding their kid. Why they're filming that for TikTok, I don't know. But I'm going to see it. It's going to pop up on my feed every time. And then you get these girls that they've made a name for themselves on social media by farting on video. Farting on video. Like, why do you want to be famous for farting on video? But these girls do. And for some reason, those pop up. I don't know why I see all this stuff. I don't want to see it, but I see it. It's on my TikTok. I guess because I scroll so quickly through there. When you see a train wreck, like somebody, like some girl just blowing ass all over somebody on video, you're going to stop and watch it for at least part of it. And so I guess because I scroll so quickly through, and then I stop and watch more of those videos than others, the algorithm thinks that's what I want to see. Hell, I don't know, maybe that is what I want to see. Better than most of the crap on there, I guess. I try not to even get on TikTok. I get on there maybe once a week. I pretty much, when I do get on there, it's just to make sure there ain't no more fake accounts pretending to be me that I need to report. And then once I'm on there for that, I'm usually just scrolling through till I hit enough breastfeeding videos that I'm over it. Now, you know, listen, I mean, I'm all about seeing some tatas and all. But I don't want to see them when they're all cracked and everything, breastfeeding. Like, that ain't the most attractive time for a woman's tatas, okay? Like, it's... And you talk about being uncomfortable. When I was in nursing school, looky right here, we finally got another fish. Boy, it's been a while. I don't know, do you think we should maybe circle back? Or do you think maybe it's just time of day? We're getting later in the morning here, the sun's getting up, maybe the bite's slacking off. Because I was catching fish up through here yesterday, and I was catching them later into the morning too. Like, my camera battery died and I fished a while after that. And I was still catching some fish. All the way up through here. I fished all the way back to the car and caught fish, but it's definitely slowed down. We'll see what this one looks like. We could reel up and come through again. Or we could keep going. We should at least go up here and get through this hole before we make a decision, probably. We should at least do that. See if there's anything in this hole. If the bite slowed down but our quality improved, I would be okay with that. This one feels good, but hell, the last few fish have felt good, and then they've been duds. This one ate our chunk of skipjack. Yeah, that's a good one. A little bit bigger than the last one. He's another fun sizer, but it's a little bit front camera worthy. Anyways, here, front camera worthy. Well, I'll give him a moment of fame. What do you want to bet he threw the bait off? I Bet you a $2 bill if I had one. At this point though, it's so dang hot. I ain't fishing much longer today, so I don't think we're gonna run out of bait. Other than the head baits, we'll have plenty of body sections left to throw out. Can I have the hook back? Please and thank you, sir. Come on now, give me that hook. I ain't gonna give it up. There we go. All right, fish. I'll give you front camera time, fish. There we go. You know, fun size length, just skinny. Just gonna take a little while to get the weight back on. This one's he's got a flea on him up there. You see it on top of his head? Up there, you may not be able to see it very good. Little brown flea rolling around there. You got cooties, fish. You got the stink on you. You need to wash that thing off there. Take you a bath once in a while, fish. That fish says right, he said he'd grow long hair if he could. He'd grow hair all the way down to his butthole, but he can't grow it. He's bald like me. Well, I'm gonna keep us going on through here. I wanna at least go through the hole, and then we'll reevaluate from there. I kinda wanna go back down and come through again, but at the same time too, it's so damn hot. It'll just take me that much longer to get back to the car if we go all the way back down. And we may, you know, when you're doing this ledge fishing, this is something I've talked about a lot, you oftentimes have dead stretches. You'll have fish kind of congregated in an area, and you'll catch them, and then you'll go on and you won't have much, and then you'll get on them again. And so it's possible we might get on them again. That's why I wanted to come back out here today, because we'd had such a good day here yesterday. I knew there was a bunch of fish in this area. I wanted to come out here and just see what we could get on again today. Could we catch the same numbers? Could we get some good quality like yesterday? And so far, we're getting the numbers. Now, we haven't got as big a fish as we got yesterday, and certainly no flathead. But we are getting them. What was I talking about? Oh, girls on TikTok, yeah. Breastfeeding. Farting on video. They're just doing all kinds of stuff just for attention. The breastfeeding stuff though, when I was in nursing school, I had to do, you know, part of our clinical rotations, we have to go through OB. And you know, I went to nursing school twice. I was an LPN first, and then I went back and became an RN. So I had to go through nursing school twice, 2 OB rotations. Hated every second of it. Listen, birthing babies, I got all the respect in the world for nurses who choose to go down that path. It is not for me. Nothing about that is for me. And so, you know, in addition to having to go in on deliveries and stuff as part of your clinical rotation, you've also got to do some teaching, patient teaching. And me talking to a woman about a new mother, about how to breast, it's just awkward, man. It's awkward for them, it's awkward for me. Like, I shouldn't be telling any woman how to breastfeed her kid. Whether I'm a trained professional or not, no. Just shouldn't be doing it. I will tell them to cut their damn hair though, because it don't need to be down to their butthole. We gotta get turned here a little bit, y'all. The wind is picking up a little bit and it's coming at us sideways now. And we want to be going this way, but the motor's kind of compensating going into the wind because it's the way it's pushing us over so much. So we may have to pick up our speed to kind of get back on track here and compensate for the wind. So May have to bump us up here, 0.6, 0.7 maybe, get us back the way we need to go. Which I tried it yesterday going faster, and I still caught some fish. So if we were to go back down, the way the wind's blowing, it wouldn't be as big a problem, because again, it's blowing this way, and you can see the way we came. Now we're starting to kind of loop around a bend here, so this is what's putting us kind of sideways into that wind. So it may be the smart thing to do to go back down potentially. I don't know. I kind of just want to work through this hole. We're so close to this hole. I've done really good in years past in this hole. Caught some big fish in it, so. Speaking of fish, let's catch one on the white bass now. My arm is getting a little bit tired. I reeled in a bunch of fish today. For no longer than we've been out here, it has been a lot of fish. And with 2 rods. I ain't needed another day, or once again, I ain't needed no damn planer boards to catch a fish. Just trolling 2 rods up this ledge, taking advantage of although it's delayed this year, the start of it's been delayed, it's a pretty standard bite that you get on in the summer months, post-spawn, on these reservoirs of the Tennessee River, just main channel ledges, just work right down. If you're in an area that's got some break lines, you can follow along the contours and wear them out. Somewhere like this, just kind of in the old riverbed. It's been a pretty predictable bite, but you don't need any planer boards. If you got a motor that can keep you moving with GPS function, that's very helpful. But we could be out here in my pedal kayak doing the same thing. Now, I wouldn't want to make a 2-mile run in my pedal kayak and then work our way back. If I'm going that far, I'd just soon be in my kayak that's got the motor. Especially too, because it would take longer in pedal drive. We was already late getting out here this morning. Yeah, it's another fun sizer here, kind of comparable there to the last one, maybe a little smaller. We just ain't got the big mama today. I want me a whopper today. I thought running 2 head baits first thing, and maybe they were the big ones that might be a little bit more active first thing in the morning, but I'm happy anytime catching fish like this, because these fish right here are a good fight. And he's got more fight left. Any day now, fish. I bet you they done splashed water all over your face right now. He got me. Remind me to check the lens in a minute, make sure y'all can actually see something after that mess. All right, if you done. Are you done? I want you to be done. He's throwing the bait off too, of course. Come here. No. Y'all get control of your fish here now. This is getting ridiculous. There you go. Goodness gracious, you're an ornery devil. Ornery old devil. Just would not calm down. All right. I'm gonna hold you out. I ain't giving you no front camera time acting that way. But comparable size, man. Just probably, I don't know, 32, 34 inch length, I would guesstimate, but just super skinny. And gone is what it is. It's out of here. Look at all that bait up there, 10 to 20 foot down right there. I bet you if we'd been running our balloon rig all the way up through here, I bet we'd have caught some more fish on it, but they had probably been small. Probably smaller than what we've been getting dragging, would be my guess. Based on the other fish we got anyway. Let's see, I want to put on this right here. We'll keep the same setup. If we're using chunks, we'll do a skipjack on one and white bass on the other. We're just having a hard time with that wind hitting us from an angle. That is the challenge right now. I would rather fight the wind today though, because it is so hot. If the wind wasn't blowing, I'd probably already be out here today. That wind making it feel just a couple degrees, I won't say cooler, a couple degrees less hot is keeping me out here right now. Okay, let's get that going back out. Yeah, we got enough to make it through the rest of the morning here. For no longer than I'm going to fish, but it'd be nice to have us some more head baits. Y'all should have packed some bait. Y'all come fishing with me all the time on here, and I don't know why I can't ever get us to show up with bait. It's always on me for some reason. We got our speed right now going 0.77 at the moment, 0.8, so we're ramping it up a little bit. Going to have to with this crosswind. May or may not affect our bite, we'll see. We'll get through this hole, we'll reevaluate what we want to do. Y'all could talk me into it either way. At least though, here's me being poly-positive, okay? This is silver lining on the day. Even though it's hotter today, even though the wind is creating a little bit of a challenge right now, we ain't getting stormed on. And it's all because I brought that umbrella. If I'd had the umbrella with us yesterday, we wouldn't have had any issues. If you bring a rain jacket or an umbrella, it is scientifically proven it is less likely to rain. If you were completely unprepared, as we were yesterday, you're going to get wet. And there was a chance of storms today, you know, spotty stuff. Probably be this afternoon. But yesterday morning was supposed to be clear, I thought. But there was a whole line of weather come through. You just never know. They say in East Tennessee, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute and it'll change. You just never know. At least lately it's just been raining and storming. We ain't had no tornadoes or nothing. I'm fortunate where I live, we don't really. My town got hit with a tornado in, was it 93? I think it was 93, because I think we got hit with a tornado, and then a month later we had the blizzard of 93. We don't really have tornadoes though. If I lived out somewhere, is it fish? Oh. He didn't hook up. He wanted it, but he didn't hook up. If I lived out somewhere though that got hit with tornadoes all the time, I'd move. I mean, that's scary. I went and seen that Twisters movie here recently, a couple weeks ago, however long it's been. And first off, awesome movie. Very well worth the ticket price, by the way. Like, I mean, I was super into that movie. Great storyline, great actors. I mean, the whole movie all the way through, excellent. Highly recommend it. But just seeing those people in the movie, like, they just go about their normal lives, and well, here comes a tornado and just wrecks a town, just levels an entire town. I'd move. I would move. I wouldn't want to live in that. You know, at least like if you say you were ultra wealthy and you lived along the beach somewhere, maybe down in Florida or Louisiana, somewhere on the coast, and you knew you're kind of in a hurricane zone. At least with a hurricane, you've got some warning. Like, it don't just pop up on a Wednesday night and all of a sudden you got a Category 5 hurricane on top of your house. Like, that don't happen. You've got some warning for hurricanes. They develop into tropical storms and then grow into a hurricane, and people's all over the TV set saying, if it takes this path, it's going to hit here, and you've got time to make arrangements and get the hell out. With tornadoes, though, you might know, the weatherman might be saying, well, there's a chance of tornadoes with tomorrow's weather pattern. But them damn tornadoes can pop out of the sky in just a random storm out there on a Thursday afternoon. You know, you're going about your life, just watching the evening news, eating your little Debbie cake, and all of a sudden, here comes a tornado. And you got to rush to a tornado shelter or a underground thing, or some people's got these metal boxes, looks like a coffin in their house. They lock themselves up in. Like, you know, man, I know Randy Goad, Trout Magnet Man YouTube channel. I'm friends with him there on Facebook. And he moved out there to Arkansas. It's been about a year he's been out there now. And he posts something on Facebook about every day. And he's posted a few times the picture of his, I don't even know what you call it. It's in his house, but it's like a tornado shelter. Like, if they're calling for a tornado, it's this metal box. I mean, it's big enough that you walk in, but it's a very tight area. But I guess it protects you if the house comes down on top of you. The metal contraption there you're in would protect you. But I've looked at that thing when Randy posts them pictures, and I'm like, I instantly feel claustrophobic just looking at the thing. I'm like, you want me to lock? First off, you got a tornado, scary as hell, going on around you, potentially. And I'm supposed to lock myself in a metal coffin? Like, pick your poison. What the hell's more scary, being in the tornado or being locked up in this box that you may not be able to get out of? I mean, what if you're alone in your house and tornado's coming and you got to get in your little miniature storm shelter in your house there, this metal coffin? What if you lock yourself in there and you can't get it unlocked? And maybe the tornado don't hit, you know, but you've went in there and now you're locked in this box. You can't get out. Your cell phone battery dies. Who knows if you even got cell phone reception in one of them contraptions or not? Who knows if that's even possible? Now you're trapped in there. You've got no way out. And nobody's going to know to come and get you because you got no cell phone. What then? That's like stuff of nightmares, folks. Like, so I don't have any intentions of moving anyway. I'm born here in East Tennessee. I'm probably going to die here in East Tennessee. But I could not live in a place where I was going to have one of the metal contraptions in my house to hide from storms. And I wouldn't want to live in a house that was going to be potentially hit by a tornado. The tornado we had where I live, it was a freak thing. Like, it's, you know, I'm pretty sure it was 1993. I was a kid when that come out. And, or when that happened. And I mean, there's been some tornadoes in East Tennessee since then. sure. But not where I live per se. Like that's probably a once in a lifetime type thing. At least I hope it is anyway. But for some people, depending, if you're out west, Tornado Alley they call it there, it's a daily occurrence. I was like, I couldn't do it. I don't know what the advantage is of living it. I mean, is property cheaper out there? I imagine it's high everywhere. I don't know what the advantage is. I mean, I guess they just grew up there and born there, and most people never leave home. So they just get used to it. They grow up and they're used to it, I guess. I wouldn't want to get used to it, though. There's just things in life I wouldn't want to get used to, and tornadoes and having to lock myself in a metal box to hide from them, that's something I don't want to get used to. This fish don't want to get used to this hook in the mouth. Is he fully got it? Yep, we'll get us another one. We're kind of on the edge of this hole here now. Where we're at, I'm just having a hard damn time with this wind. I need to be a little bit to the left here is what we need to be. But yeah, we're on the outskirts of this hole. And this fish was apparently on the back of it. When you get these holes like this on the main river channel, they're either there or they're not. And I mean, when they've been there, I've caught some good ones in this particular hole. Like regular long-time viewers, like you've seen me film some videos here. Not just dragging here, but I like spot locked here, just sitting here. Boy, it was a big splash over there. That must have been one of them paddlefish. I don't know if you heard it on the microphone or not, but it was over here across the channel from us. That was, I'm telling you, man, you got a big 50+ pound paddlefish come flying up out of the water, like completely get out of the water before it crashes down. Like, it's a big splash. I wonder if anybody's ever had one land in their boat. Just be motoring down river at the right time when one of them jumped up, like them, you know, you see them Asian carp, places that have them, and they'll be flying up in people's faces in the boats and stuff because they're jumping out of the water. I wonder if that's ever happened with a paddlefish. Just right place, right time situation as that fish is coming up and your boat's going through. I've had fish jump in my kayak before. Like I've had gizzard shad jump in. So I mean, it can happen. Another fun sizer. Another skinny fun sizer. This is more maybe a larger dink here. This fish says I done insulted him calling him a dink like that. I told him leave that bait on and he didn't, so that's what you get, fish. Of course I'm going to insult you. Old skinny fish, there's your moment of fame. You're welcome. Let's see if we can get us another bait on here. I'll show you on the graph right here. There's that hole. You see it comes off on this side and this side, and you got that deeper depression, about 59, 60 feet deep right there. We're up here, we've missed this damn hole because the way the wind is coming across the channel, I'm having a hard time keeping us where we need to go. I wonder if we shouldn't just run down. Let's do that. We've already got this one reeled up here from that fish. Since we're having a hard time well, you know, one thing we could do, let's try this for a second. Let's reel this one in. Here's kind of what I'm thinking. Let's go over in this hole. Since I've missed it coming up through here, dragging, let's just go set in it a second. Let's drop baits down for like 5 minutes. we'll spot lock in it. If we get bit, great. We'll sit there some more. If we don't, then we'll just head back downriver where we can go into this wind again. That's what we'll try to do. Because I either want to, if we're going to continue on dragging, like I want to be in the old river channel. And the crosswind, when you're dragging in a kayak, because these things are so lightweight, the crosswind is your worst nightmare. It's your enemy. Because you're just going to have a hard damn time keeping a straight line. A boat is obviously a heavier vessel. Like you're not going to have issues if you're in one of these guys like a big 20-foot long sea arc. The amount of wind we've got today ain't going to be an issue for a boat that heavy. But even though it's a light breeze today, the fact my kayak weighs 100 and something pounds, like it gets moved around. So I'm looking here on the screen as we go kind of down in here. I'm not really seeing anything. Of course, yesterday either we was catching all them fish and wasn't really seeing nothing on the graph. Yeah, there's some right there maybe. We'll try it. Let's give it like 5 minutes or something. I'm gonna get us over here kind of down in that deep part of the hole here. It should be 59, 60 feet deep. It'll fluctuate a little bit with our water level. I think the water is maybe down a foot or so. It looks like from just looking at the shoreline. Yeah. It's just a little depression here, and for whatever reason, fish just oftentimes congregate in it. Yeah, we'll just spot lock and we'll let the kayak kind of turn us into, or the motor turn us into the wind. And we'll throw these baits off behind us and just, I mean, we don't have any flow, so it's not like they're going to get all cattywampus on us. Since we're not going to be on the move, I will try to cast this just to get a little distance behind us. We'll put another piece of skipjack on the other one and do the same thing with it. 5 minutes, y'all. Time it. 5 minutes. We're either going to get bit setting still here or we ain't. And if we ain't, we're going to run back down river just a little bit. Be a good test too, because all of our fish yesterday and today have come when we were moving. And it'd be interesting to see if we can get any setting still. This time of year in the summer, I normally like to be on the move. Whether that's trolling or drifting, if we've got flow, it don't really matter. I just want to be moving more in the summer, trying to go to fish versus waiting on fish to come to me, like I often do in the spring and fall and winter. Summertime, for whatever reason, I typically do better when I'm on the move. My biggest fish, historically, most of them are coming on anchor, but most of them are coming also spring and fall, not necessarily middle of summer, although I've caught some beasts in the middle of summer. I still think we might bust a big one today. We're getting enough action today. Fish are clearly just active across the board. If we come across a big one, he'll bite. Got that back out. Let me look at the camera here. All right. 5 minutes, y'all. Timing it. We'll just sit here and see what, if anything, happens. If this line ever hits bottom here, I'm gonna get me a swig of water again. There we go. Okay, let's pick this mess up, get our bait back on ice. Bait here, back in my fancy cooler. I like that cooler. I wish if they'd had Tennessee orange Yeti coolers when I bought my other one years ago, I would have got that color. Well, that's a relatively new thing. You'd think with all these people tailgating and stuff, they'd have thought to put various college teams and pro teams colors on their coolers a long time ago. Bear with me a second, y'all. I gotta get me a swig. I get parched talking to y'all, especially in this miserable heat we got going on. I'm not looking forward to cooler weather. I complain about the heat. Y'all get any water on the lens? No, y'all good. I forgot to check that earlier. I complain about the heat a lot this time of year, but, and this, man, August heat in East Tennessee, it ain't no joke, buddy. You got 90 plus degrees and high humidity every day. But I'd sure rather deal with this than the cold. I'd sure rather deal with it. We can get out here early mornings and have us some fun, catch a bunch of fish, and go home to the air conditioning. But boy, in the wintertime, there ain't a good time to be on the water. You just can't stay, you can't keep warm. I can work around the heat, but if it's 30 degrees outside, like it sucks. Ain't nothing you can do. Bring you a heater with you. And I've done that. I've had a propane heater in kayak before. There's videos of me doing it. It's a pain in the butt, man. It's cumbersome. It's huge. But it'll at least keep you a little bit warm. Now, if I get that other kayak, I don't think I was talking about the Ersti. We're probably going to get a different kayak here next month, whenever it comes out. It's going to have more of an open floor plan, and maybe, possibly, in that kayak, I'll have a little bit more room to maybe put me a heater in the winter. If nothing else, I'll be able to, it'll have a 360 seat, so I'll be able to turn my back on the wind. Like today, right here, the motor is facing this direction into the wind, right? If it was cold out here today, this wind would be blowing in her face. But with that 360 seat, I'll be able to turn around and have the wind blowing in my back, which then you can put a hood over your head and get you a windproof jacket, and it'll be more tolerable. So I'm probably going to get one of them things. I don't like where the kayak fishing industry has gone. I think the pendulum swung too far that direction where they're making plastic John boats now. Let's be real, that's what it is. It's damn plastic John boats. I mean, these kayaks that are coming out this year look like the old Bass Pro Shops pond prowlers. I have nothing against them pond prowlers. I mean, I wouldn't want to take one out here in open water because they're not going to drain. They're like a bathtub. You'd have to have a bilge pump put in. Although there's been times I've needed a bilge pump in this kayak when water gets in the hull. But, you know, if you get a kayak that's got scupper holes and sheds water appropriately over the bow, then you can drain that water that comes in very quickly. But when they're as big a kayak as what they're making now, and as wide and as heavy, it's really pushing. It's really trying to cross the line of what is a kayak versus what is a boat. And I just enjoy kayak fishing. This kayak here isn't as much fun to fish out of as my other one that's smaller. But it is helpful on a day like today where we're making a long run first thing. You know, it's probably 2 miles thereabouts. And then, like I mentioned there before, with this motor, we have the option of continuing to move forward as we're reeling in one fish. Our other bait's still pulling forward. In my pedal kayak, when one fish hits, like we're getting circled back, we're getting pulled back toward the fish. So it's not as efficient because you're going to have to take more time to kind of get yourself settled and everything straightened out and get back on the move. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if you're fishing a tournament, you certainly need to be as efficient as possible and try to catch as many fish as possible. But if you're just going out fun fishing like we're doing today, and 99% of my trips is, well, it really don't matter per se. It probably matters to the individual more, but I'm gonna have fun either way. As long as I catch me a few fish and get a tug on the line, like I'm gonna go home happy most of the time. There's some days where so much stuff goes wrong, it's hard to go home happy. But yeah, I'm gonna go home happy today. I wanna get me a big one before I leave, but even if I don't, I'm still gonna go home happy. I just wanted to come back down here. We had such a good day yesterday. I was like, if weather allows, I wanna come back today and hit it again. There's another place upriver from here I really wanna hit too. That may be our next trip. If I fish around here, that may be our next trip. If I get a cooler full of bait on my next bait run, I may take off and go to Alabama. I wanted to go this past week, but the weather, it's been just hit or miss up here with storms and stuff, and they were calling for the same thing in Alabama, and I'm like, well, I don't want to drive down there and get stormed out and not get to fish. And plus I've got enough bait for us to fish here, but that's only because I had the extra white bass. You can't use white bass in Alabama. So I'm gonna need to get skipjack, and I'm just not getting them lately, just not getting them, which I'm wondering if the catfish are 2 or 3 weeks behind. I'm wondering if the skipjack aren't too. And maybe I've just been ahead of them the whole time. Every time I've moved to where they should be this time of year, maybe I've been running from them instead of running toward them. That's possible. I think it's time to reel up, y'all. We was given this 5 minutes, and I done forgot what time it was when I said that. Let's reel up and run back down river a minute. We'll just kind of work through part of that productive area again and see if we get back on the fish. And if we do, then we'll know it's the location. If we don't get back on them again, then maybe we start to think about kind of being a time of day type thing. Maybe the bite kind of just petered out on us here. And that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon at all. Oftentimes in the summer months, you have a bite right there around sunrise till hour or so. Maybe if it's a good day, you might get 2 hours after sunrise, and then it just peters out. And it'll pick back up again oftentimes in the afternoon, evening hours. Maybe at night, you never know. Fish could be feeding at any hour of the day. Oh, it's a professional right there. Look at that, he's got stickers on his boat. He's big time, buddy. He's got that boat wrapped. I need one of y'all to wrap my kayak for me. One of you's out there that's got a Facebook business. You got you a business card and a Facebook page. Instead of putting you a 3-inch by 5-inch sticker on the side of your truck advertising your business, you need to wrap my kayak. so I could look like one of these bass boats out here. We put Bob's Handyman Repair Service on the side of my kayak for a nominal fee, of course. I'll get you advertisement driving up and down I-75 and I-40 every day. I was having a conversation with somebody about that. I can't remember when, I can't remember who, but it may have been y'all. But I was talking about them professional bass fishermen, the guys that's own the professional bass tours, Bassmaster or whatever. Them guys have a deal with Toyota. Toyota gives them a truck every year. And so they drive up and down the road, and they're in their wrapped Toyota with pulling their boat behind them and stuff. And yeah, if you see one of them guys going down the interstate, it certainly gets your attention. Like, you look that way. But you don't look because of them, you just look because the boat's wrapped and the truck is wrapped. It just kind of stands out. The fact that a Bassmaster professional bass fisherman, whatever you call them, the fact that one of them is driving the vehicle, I don't think it does anything extra, do you? Because let's be real, most of these professional bass fishermen, I wouldn't know who the hell they were. They could walk up to me, shake my hand, I wouldn't have a clue. I mean, if they got a jersey on with their name on it, I'll figure out it's Kevin Van Dam or something. But aside from like a Kevin Van Dam or who was that other guy that was real loud? Mike Iaconelli? I don't think I could name any other bass fisherman on the bass fishing tours right now. Like, not a single one. I don't have a clue, any of them. And so you look at those guys, yes, they are professionals, sure, damn good fishermen. But nobody knows who the hell they are. They have no social media following. And other than just the attention that anybody with a wrapped vehicle would get as they're driving up the interstate, like, what value are they bringing to Toyota? I mean, I know it's a write-off for Toyota. Like, their marketing budget is X number of dollars. They have to spend that money on something. But it's like, is that really the best use of their marketing dollars? Giving professional bass fishermen a new truck when nobody knows who the hell they are outside of just a couple guys? I mean, everybody knows Bill Dance. I mean, he's probably 80-something years old, but I guarantee you, Bill Dance, if he walked through a shopping mall with women and younger children as primarily the people in there shopping, he would still get recognized. Just because he's been on TV so long, everybody knows Bill Dance. I don't even know if Toyota gives him a truck. I would assume somebody's got something for him, but yet the Bass Pro guys, the professionals, every single one of them, they all got a Toyota. It just seems silly to me. But they get it, so hats off to them. I sure as hell wouldn't turn it down if I was them. I don't know how that works. I guess they get a truck. I guess it's set up like maybe like a lease. A lease that they just don't have to make payments on. Because you couldn't put a mileage cap on them because those guys travel all over the country. So like they would have to have the ability to. It couldn't be like a normal lease where you're going to have 5,000 miles a year, 10,000 miles a year that you can put on something. There's a catfish, that dead cat. It was a catfish that was floating. But yeah, like you couldn't put a cap on miles on them. But I would assume every year they give it back and get a new one. And then I wonder, like, do they get a gas allowance? Or is that part of their compensation deal. And then for tax purposes, like they're obviously, I've got a bunch of questions, as you can tell. Like I've got a bunch of questions and no answers. But like their job is being a professional bass fisherman. So any expense associated with their business would be a write-off. So if they purchased one of those Toyota trucks, as long as it's over 6,000 pounds, which they all are, then that would be considered a business expense that they could then write off. And you could then write off all expenses associated with that vehicle. That's your fuel, your insurance, maintenance costs, car wash, anything pertaining to that business vehicle, they could write off. Now, if they had a vehicle that was not 6,000 pounds, they could then claim their mileage, 50-something cents a mile, whatever the IRS allows, instead of doing the vehicle deduction. But here's the thing on that. Again, this vehicle would essentially be given to them. So it's not really their vehicle. So in that situation, could they still count the miles in that case? I don't know how that works. This is why I shouldn't be giving tax advice, people. This is why my accountant is worth every penny, because when I have questions like this for myself, he's able to answer them for me. I don't know how that works though. I guarantee you this, buddy, they put a bunch of money into their fuel tank. Getting them huge trucks. What does Toyota give them? A Tundra? They get a Tundra, I think, that don't get crap for gas mileage. They're towing a boat, which is going to affect their gas mileage even more. And then they're driving all over the daggone country for these tournaments. Like, they are going to put a ton of money in that fuel tank, both their truck and their boat. Like, that's a lot of expense they've got going out. The guys on top in the bass fishing world, not a big deal for them, but it ain't like the professional golfers where the guy in 50th place is still doing pretty damn good. Like, if you're finishing on the bottom third of the standings in them professional bass tournaments, like you're probably eating peanut butter sandwiches, you know what I mean? Like, you might look the part, but your bank account don't. At least I don't think it does, unless you are rich to start. I heard that once upon a time. I can't remember who said it. And I may be butchering the statement. Is, how do you become a millionaire through fishing? You start with 2 million? Something like that. We're going to just go right over here this direction and turn around and pull through this area again. I'm not going to run all the way back down to where we started. It'd take too long. So I'm going to fish maybe another hour. It's hot, y'all. But we'll come back down through here and we'll at least try to pull through this productive area again, just so we get some information, just so we get some knowledge as to whether we stopped getting bit because of our location, or was it because maybe time of day. I guess the other wild card factor too could be the bait. We were getting bit on head baits first thing and I ran out of head baits. So maybe that's part of it, although yesterday it didn't matter. We were getting bit on chunks, heads, whatever we threw out, we was getting bit yesterday. So I think it would be, if we don't get bit on this second pass, I bet it's more likely just due to the time of day. Yesterday, obviously they were still biting when I left, but it was a cloudy day, the sun wasn't out, and we'd had that weather, the storms come through. which I think maybe it turned them on a little bit. Today, being a sunny day, sun's out, I think that could possibly be affecting the bite a little bit. You gotta blame something, right? Can't blame myself, just being a lousy fisherman. Although I've proven that today, getting the motor, my pulley cords wrapped around my motor. I guarantee you though this, fellas, if your girlfriends or wives were watching this video with you, when I'm up there bent over my front hatch, I guarantee you at least one of them took a look at my hind end. I guarantee you they did. Don't y'all be ashamed of that either, fellas, because you can't fault a woman for looking at my hind end. Ain't much to look at, by gosh, but again, it's like them girls with the armpit hair. If it's there, you're gonna look. And if my butt's standing straight up in the air as I'm hunched over this kayak, somebody's gonna look. So don't get upset with them if they did, fellas. Don't give them a hard time about it. They can't help themselves. If you fellas, though, if you got a girlfriend or wife, maybe you're one of them apologistics. I want to know what they do with their hair when they're taking a crap. And I want to know what they do with their hair when they're trying to sleep at night. If they get all wrapped up in it and stuff. All right, let's turn around right here and get ourselves going back. We'll turn, we'll set our speed again. Put us some new baits on. We'll give it maybe another hour here. Maybe. Let me get our thing set. All right. Yeah, them baits look okay. We just put them on not long ago, hadn't we? All right, down that one goes. Let me slow our speed. Okay. Down this one goes. What's this guy over here beside us doing? He gonna stop here and fish on the other side of the channel from us. You know I don't want to be talking around people over here, y'all. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Don't look like he's even got no fishing poles over there. He's motoring on now, thankfully. What's going on with this rod? Are we not moving? It says we're going 0.6. Are we though? Because my line over here is slack. The other one's letting out. I don't know what the hell's going on. I wish instead of having to push that cruise control button, I wish I had like and these motor guide remotes here are garbage. I've went through 3 or 4 of these things now. They never last. I wish it had a screen and the ability to just, if I want to go 0.5 in this direction, let me push a button, go in this direction, and manually type in I want to go 0.5. Like that would be so much easier. Oh, we gotta flip that bell over. Something's up with this. Oh hell, God almighty, I'm stupid, y'all. Look at this. I'm like, why ain't that line going out? Here's why. Because my damn fly's hung here on my power pole mount. Boy, every time you think you've done it all, folks. Thank God this happened so late in the video that nobody's still watching. This has been, we've had a hard time not being an idiot out here today. I'll get my act together eventually. One of these days I'll turn into professional. One of these days. It ain't gonna be today, obviously. We'll let out a little more line on that one, but we'll just kind of take this path up through here again and see what happens. We're just kind of roaming around out here in the middle of this channel, kicking up that dust with our dragon sinkers, trying to create a little bit of a scent trail. And we come across fish, they lock in on that scent, they're active, boom, they come get it. Or if we happen to put it right in their face as we go by, that's possible too. But I think today, I really think the bite probably slowed down just because of time of day more than location. Because yesterday I was catching them all the way up through there. And it's just a different day. It's a little hazy out here, but we ain't got the cloud cover that we had yesterday. I think that's making a difference. Sometimes I've noticed this with bait fishing too. Like for instance, and regular viewers, you saw that last bait run that I filmed. The skipjack bite lately, the few I've been getting, it's been dawn. And when the sun gets over the tree line where I've been getting them at, game over. You're done with that bite. And I have to believe that lighting on a situation where there's a certain feeding time, I think the lighting maybe plays a role in that, because you see it so much in the dawn and dusk time periods where you've got low light, the bite turns on a lot. And so I think the lighting has to play a role in it. So if you've got a day where it's cloudy and you've kind of got lower light for a longer period, maybe it extends that bite. Just thinking out loud, you know. I'm no fish expert or nothing. We'll never truly know why they do what they do when they do it. We can all have our assumptions and our opinions, but none of us will ever really know. But thankfully, they're at least, whatever causes them to do what they do, it's patternable, if that's a word. You can pattern it. And so like this summertime bite right here, it's may have been delayed this year, but it's happening. And it's something you can depend on kind of every summer to hit these main channel ledges. And some sections of the river will be better than others. Some ledges will be better than others. You'll have more fish on some. You'll have better quality on others. And here we go. Oh, he dropped it. I thought we was going to get us another one just like that. But I mean, it's a pretty predictable bite all up and down the river. You just got to put some time in and figure out which places produce more fish and bigger fish. And that too will be repeatable year after year. Like if you get on a bite where you're catching big fish in an area, chances are it's going to happen when they're there again next year too. Now, if you've got a YouTube channel, like I do, and you get on a big fish bite, somewhere that spot is going to get burnt to the ground and people are going to start showing up and pounding it all the time. And so then maybe that particular spot peters out when the fish get pulled off of there for tournaments or home to the dinner table or off to a pay lake or something like that. Spots kind of peter out, but the pattern itself will maintain, even if a spot kind of gets ruined. That's just part of doing business. You know, the same thing with professional bass fishermen. They've fished on Fort Loudon here where I live some for their, the Bassmaster Classic. I think They've had it here way too often, it seems like. It seems like it's been at least twice in the last few years they've had it. And my bass fishing friends, they're glued to that live stream that Bassmaster does to figure out where these guys are fishing at and where they're catching fish. And as soon as they figure out where them guys are at, those places get absolutely pounded from that point on. Like it's just, they see it and they're like, okay, that's where the pros are at, that's where I'm gonna go. And so the next time the pros come through, they'll have to find another area because that spot's done been pounded. But that's just the name of the game, that's how it is. If you're one of them pro bass fishermen, you get on a bite, people are gonna go follow you out there. If you got a YouTube channel that's got a decent following and you get on some big fish, and if you've got a recognizable area in the background, or if you're a dumbass like me and you show your map card and your graph and people can, with any skill whatsoever, can figure out easily where you're at, then yeah, that kind of thing happens. But I'm confident enough in myself, just my ability to read a map, that I'm not too dependent upon spots per se. Like I have spots that I can count on year after year after year. But if one place stops producing, I'm confident in my ability to read a map and figure out where I should go. You know, I think that's part of, I ain't trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I've had a fair amount of success in the tournament scene on our kayak catfishing tournament trail. And we fished all over, and a lot of the places that I've been to are places that I had never been to prior to the tournament, or prior to, you know, pre-fishing a week or so before the tournament. And I just take what I do, I take what little knowledge I have, and I look at a lake map or Navionics or whatever contour map is available for that body of water, and I think, okay, it's this time of year, water temp should be this, fish should be here, here, here. And I pick out those places and I go check them out. And, you know, if you can pre-fish for a day or two ahead of the tournament, you can figure out what kind of structure, what kind of depth, what kind of bait do you need to be setting still anchored? Do you need to be moving? Like, you can learn a lot, and then you show up there on tournament day and you take the knowledge you have from being able to read the map, and you take the knowledge you've gained from maybe fishing there a day or two in advance and figuring out kind of what you need to do, or maybe your pre-fishing days suck and you don't do any good and you don't get many fish, but you figure out like, okay, I've tried this and it didn't work, and I tried this here and that didn't work. Well, maybe on tournament day, you just try something that you didn't get to trying, and maybe that's what pays off for you. That last tournament up there in Hoover, on Hoover Reservoir in Ohio, I had been pulling them balloon rigs all morning, and I'd caught some fish, but I was struggling. When we got to the afternoon, the wind had picked up, sun was obviously higher in the sky, and I was having a hard time. I just wasn't catching fish. The limited bite I was on had dried up. And so the last hour and a half of tournament, I was like, I'm gonna throw a Hail Mary. If what I'm doing is not working, let me do the exact opposite of what I'm doing. So I was running the balloon rigs, fishing a few feet under surface, and I was actively moving all morning. So I pulled up on a point. That wind had been blowing into that point all morning long. And so I said, I'm gonna sit there off the tip of that thing. I'm gonna cast my baits down. I'll kind of try to get them near that bottom edge right before it starts to come up, try to get them on that break line. And I'm gonna sit there. And it's basically the exact opposite of what I was doing. Again, I had been trolling with baits near the surface out in open water. And I go from that to anchored, or spot locked in that case, but setting still with baits cast out on bottom. And you know what, that paid off. And I got my two biggest fish of the tournament there in that final hour, and I ended up winning and getting big fish. But you know, that point that I pulled up on there, when I made the decision to change, like, yes, it was a Hail Mary attempt. Like, it was literally in my mind, it was the George Costanza Seinfeld episode which I refer to all the time, not just in fishing, but in life. It's one of those philosophical lessons that I don't even think Seinfeld meant by it when he made the show, when he made that episode. But it's something I do all the time in my regular life. But George, in that episode, and I've talked about it, my regular viewers, you've heard me tell this story before, but hang on, this fish wants to interrupt. Oh, he just come free. That fish realized I was telling a story. He didn't want to interrupt. But in that episode of Seinfeld, George Costanza realized that every decision he had ever made in his entire life had been wrong. So if he would just do the opposite of what his natural instinct would be to do, it would have to be right. And so the whole episode was just George doing the opposite of whatever he thought he should do, and his life had changed dramatically for the episode, in a good way. And so I've used that in fishing a lot, and in my regular life. Like if I'm doing something and it ain't working, well, let me just do the opposite and see what happens. And so I did that there on tournament day, and it paid off big. But, you know, when I did that, even though it was kind of a Hail Mary, just hoping to get lucky there in the final hour, do the exact opposite and hope it works out. The way I set up on that point, like that wasn't luck or an accident. Like I had that knowledge from just studying maps and contour maps and being a student of Buck Perry's teachings and knowing how fish move along the contours. So like the way Hoover Reservoir is, especially the upper end there's not a lot of features. It's kind of just a big mud flat, but that one point kind of stuck out. And the wind had just been blowing, it had been blowing on it nonstop all morning long there into the early afternoon, like just pounding that point. Like this fish keeps pounding this bait but not hooking up. You think he's got it now? I think he's got it now. We might finally reel in another one. About time, fish. This is getting ridiculous here now. I'm gonna tell you, he feels pretty good, but at this point, y'all ain't gonna believe me. Come on up here, fish. I wanna see you. I wanna get a look at you, and I want you to be a whopper. I don't think he's gonna be no whopper, but he does feel good. It's probably gonna be, I've guesstimated a fun sizer based on how he's pulling and just statistically speaking, the average size fish we've caught today and yesterday, it's probably a pretty good chance he's gonna be a long, skinny fish, freshly off the nest, doing his part to see that the future of the catfish population is going strong, protecting his babies. Oh, this one here ate the fly, folks. We got another fly fish. That fish yesterday at the very end of the trip, or the very end of the video anyway, it ate the fly too, and it was probably the second biggest fish of the day. These flies on the back of these dragon rigs, they're a good addition. I had my doubts. I'd used them on the suspend rigs with good success, but I had my doubts about putting them on the dragon rigs. I thought we would stay hung up with them. But so far, they've not caused any extra snags. Fish, would you open up? Don't be difficult. Don't be that way, fish. I'll unhook you down there in the water. Apparently that's what he wants me to do. He don't want to open his mouth for nothing. He's clamped tight right there. All right then. Where my pliers at? If that's how you want to be, fish. If that's how you want to be, then that's how you're going to be. There you go. He missed out on his chance to get some camera time. Ungrateful fish. Yeah, folks, another one on the fly. I'll send it back down. But yeah, so anyway, you know, that worked out for me that day. The George Costanza philosophy, do the opposite of what ain't working and see what happens. But, you know, it's just being able to do that come from having a knowledge of Buck Perry's teaching, studying map cards, and, you know, and it happened to pay off that time. So a little bit of luck with the timing of it, obviously. You got to get a little bit lucky in that situation. But I had the knowledge to put myself in a situation where I could get lucky. And I think that's probably the biggest mistake I see catfishermen make, especially new catfishermen, is they spend all their time researching what rods they should buy, what reels, what line, all that, which I highly recommend my rods, by the way. Let me plug my own rods here. The Golly Whopper from Catfish Sumo, my signature series rod, highly recommended. But you know what I'm saying, these people, you get into the sport, you're brand new, you got to buy some gear, obviously, and they'll spend all their time researching products, but they don't spend hardly any time learning how to actually use the products and catch fish. And I don't care what product you use. You can use any brand of rod you want, any hooks, any line. You can have the nicest kayak or nicest boat on the market. If you don't put yourself in a situation where you're giving the fish what they want, where they want it, you ain't gonna catch nothing. I mean, if you go out to the Dead Sea, and I don't know if the Dead Sea actually is dead or not. There may be fish in the Dead Sea. But you know what I mean? Like if you're out in an area that's just, it's devoid of fish, it don't matter what rods you have, what bait you're throwing, you can't catch what fish ain't there. And so if you're new to fishing, what you need to be doing, and I ain't telling you how to live your life, but you need to figure out, you need to learn the techniques and how fish move on structure and where they should be seasonally, and apply that to whatever water you're fishing. And that's so much better use of your time than looking through Bass Pro catalogs, looking at lures or something. You know what I mean? Like the equipment, and I like my rods, my signature rods here, but you can catch fish on any rod. So it's better to spend your time and energy on stuff that's going to ensure whether you catch fish or not. Your gear, as long as you're using gear suitable for the fish and the size of the fish you're catching, like you're going to catch fish, but you need to know where to try to catch them at. Now, that's probably the biggest mistake I see people make that are new. And a lot of the new people that's getting into kayak catfishing, what they're doing is they're just pulling planer boards everywhere they go all the time with no thought to it at all. Now out here, and I said this yesterday, because we're not following a specific contour, we're kind of out in the middle of the river channel, kind of a flat area. We're expecting them to be kind of roaming around out here, willy-nilly. If you were into pulling planer boards, if it was your thing, and it's not mine, I don't like it. I think it's the least fun way to catch fish. But what we're doing today, would be an ideal situation to do that in. Because we're out here in a big wide area, we're trying to get fish that are roaming around, could be anywhere out here in the middle of the river channel. In this situation, the more you could spread your baits out, the more water you could cover, the more likely you are to get on fish. We've proven today you don't need to do that. And there's been a lot of tournaments where I've whooped the far out of them guys pulling planer boards with way more rods than me. Hell, that North Carolina tournament, Kerr Lake last year, I fished 2 rods against guys running 6, 8, 10 rods and dominated. But situations like this, if you were going to use planer boards, would be ideal. Your deep flats, your creek channels, places like that, anywhere where fish could be roaming around at random, planer boards are a good tool to use if you feel compelled to use them. But I hate them. So you're not going to see it out of me unless I'm maybe playing with live baits for stripers or something. You might see some planer boards in. And even that would just be so that the live baits won't swim across each other's lines. You know what I mean? Like it would just be to keep the live baits from finding each other. But I see a lot of people though getting into the sport and they go right to planer boards and they pull them everywhere they go. And sure, you'll catch some fish doing that just because you cover enough water, you're gonna stumble into some fish. But like if we're fishing a section of this ledge that's got like a defined edge, like an obvious break line, that's where you're gonna wanna be. Like you might catch some fish out here in the middle of the channel in that situation, but you're gonna catch a lot more on that edge, working that contour. If you're fishing a point, work that break line, really, work that. And I see these guys, they'll be fishing places like that where they should be focused on the break lines and they're out there just willy-nilly. And it's like, they're taking a shortcut, but they're shortchanging themselves is what they're doing. Because if they would take the time to learn how to fish that structure effectively, they could end up catching more fish with a lot less setup and a lot less hassle than fooling with all that planer board nonsense. And again, I ain't knocking the guys that pull. A lot of people like pulling planer boards. It's just not for me. I don't find it to be as fun. And when I'm fishing, I want to have fun. Now, if I'm in a tournament, I'm going to do some stuff that I don't necessarily want to do, but again, I've proven time and time again, I can beat the guys pulling 6, 8, 10 rods and planer boards. I can beat them with 2 rods. I've done it enough now. It ain't a fluke. Once is an accident, twice is a pattern. I've done it so many times now, it ain't a fluke. And that's just because I've taken the time to learn how to read those maps and understand how fish will move. And it ain't nothing special about it, folks. Like I'm not some Bobby Fischer of fishing or anything. Bobby Fischer was the chess guy, right? Yeah, because there was that 80s movie, Searching for Bobby Fischer. That was an underrated movie. I'm not some prodigy here of fishing. I learned Buck Perry's teachings. Buck Perry, I've plugged Buck Perry's spoon plugging a lot on my channel through the years. But he was the godfather of structure fishing. Like a lot of the terms we use today, he created. And he created this method of fishing. It was for bass, but it's applicable to anything. And it just works. It just catches fish. And when I started learning and applying his teachings, my catch rates went up, both numbers and size of fish. And so I can go to any body of water and feel like I have a reasonable chance of catching fish just based on what I've learned from his teachings. And I think if people spent as much time, and again, I ain't telling you what to do. You do you. But if people spent as much time studying Buck Perry's teachings on how to fish structure as they did researching what fishing pole they want to buy, they would catch way more fish, regardless of the brand of fishing pole. I'm gonna catch this fish if he actually hooked up. I tell you, man, our bite has slowed down. We were catching them like crazy there first thing, but the later the morning has went on, even coming back down here, like we're just not tearing them up right now. If it wasn't so far away, I would run us back down river to that really deep hole down there and see if them fish haven't retreated back to it. But I don't want to fool with it at this point in the day. It's so damn hot. I'm about ready to get out of here. We're going to go a little bit further up through here, and we get up here to the part of this bend where the wind's going to hit us crossways again. I'm going to skedaddle. Hopefully we're going to catch a few more fish on the way, but I'm about to take it home to the air condition here before long. Go home to the air condition. I don't know if I'm gonna stop and get something for lunch today, or if I'm gonna Maybe just grill a steak when I get home. Be a game time decision on the way, I guess. Can't go to Donna's today, Donna's Diner. They only take cash or checks there. And we got another takedown over here. Let's see if this one's any bigger than the one we just reeled up. We got a double, first double in a while. This one definitely feels bigger than the one we just got up. The one we just got up, he's a larger dink. About daggone time we went through some fish. 52 feet deep here. This one here feels, I've said it so many times today, you all are sick of hearing it, but he feels good. This one feels significantly better than the other one we just reeled in. We're due, man. We're due for a big fish today. I thought for sure it was going to happen based on how we did yesterday, but I mean, and it ain't like we ain't got good fish today. I mean, any day I go out and I can catch some fun sizers like we have, it's a good day. Certainly better than some of the days I've had over the course of the last month while these fish have been on the spawn. But the bar got set high after yesterday. We're due for a big one though, man. We're due for it. This one is definitely bigger than the other one over here, but he's going to be one that has fought above his weight class too. Solid fish, but not as big as I thought. You've let me down. I almost wish you'd come off now, fish. We'd had the big one that got away. This fish is offended. He's going to show out too and tell us how offended he is. Come on, fish, I'll give you some camera time. Will you open up for me? There you go. I've busted this fish's lip. I've busted his lip something good. His mama's gonna give me an earful when she finds out about this. His mama's gonna call my mama. I'll hold you out like that, fish. How about that? You old long skinny thing. There you go. We're gonna have to cut another bait and put on that one. This one here, not nearly as big, but another fish nonetheless. This adds to the total today. Ton of bites today for the length of time that we've been out here. It's been a very good day numbers-wise. Very good day. Quality though, just ain't been able to get us the big one. Here's what I'm gonna do. I've teased this. I'm gonna put on that bluegill. He don't look near as pretty now as what he did when I caught him. That fish, he's seen better days, man. I'd caught that sunfish there the other day on the bait run, and I said, oh, he looks so good, he'll make a good thumbnail, so I kept him. And we're gonna put him on there and see what happens. I'm just gonna fish a little while longer anyway. Let's just maybe cut part of the tail off there. We'll put that whole thing on there. The old bluegill, let's give it a shot. Some of y'all like bluegill. It's better on some bodies of water than others. I've caught a few good fish on bluegill on the Tennessee River, but statistically, considering how many times I've used bluegill versus how many big fish I've caught with it, it's just not a high percentage bait for me. That's for sure. So We'll put the bluegill on this side. We'll put a piece of skipjack on the other. And we'll see what happens with it. I've talked about that damn bluegill yesterday, and it's time today, by gosh, it's time. Because it's just gonna get thrown out. I'm gonna, whatever scraps we got left, when I roll out of here today, I'm tossing overboard, so. Any fish that ain't gonna bite in the next few minutes is gonna get them a free meal if they can hold out from biting. So I'm hoping I'm not motivating them not to bite. Yeah, we're about to get up here to this point now where it's, we're gonna have to start turning to the left the way the river bends, and then that wind's gonna be hitting us from the side again, and it's gonna be a nuisance. We're gonna have a hard time going where we wanna go. So I'll probably just call it quits when we get up here. Figure out what I'm gonna do for lunch. Won't be Donna's Diner today. They only take cash or check there, and my girlfriend spent the night last night, and so she pestered me for some cash. She's like me, she don't ever carry no cash on her. And you know how it is, these office jobs and stuff. If somebody's got a birthday, they all got to chip in something. And so she needed some cash to chip into whatever thing they had to do today. And so I gave her the small bills that I had. And so now I ain't got no cash to go to Donna's today, and I don't want to go to the ATM. I guess them credit card fees, if you get a small business like Donna's Diner or anywhere, even some like gas stations you go to, there'll be a cash price and there'll be a credit price, and they kind of pass on the fees to your customers. Sometimes it's like 3%. It's pretty ridiculous. I guess it just ain't worthwhile for some businesses to even fool with credit cards. You'd think now, I mean, with the number of people, not just credit cards, but even like having a debit card. You know, most of these debit cards they're Visa, MasterCard. They've got that like on the, you know, the debit card, whatever. You would think they're processing so many transactions per day that they could lower them fees and still be ultra rich companies. You know what I mean? Like, when they were charging 3% back in 1998, when I was a cashier at Kmart. Here's how old I am, y'all. When I was 16, I was working at the Kmart as cashier. My first job there in high school. If somebody paid with a credit card, we had this, you didn't run it in the register. You had this contraption you would pull out. And you would lay down this, it was a slip of paper. It had like paper on one side and ink on the other. I forget what that type of paper's called. But you would set the credit card on top of it, and you would go and run that thing over the credit card, and it would imprint on there, and that's how, and you would keep that credit card slip, and that's how credit card transactions were done in 1998 at Kmart. And so back in them days, you know, people were paying with cash or checks more. They wasn't paying with credit cards as often. And so I get the need back then for credit card companies to charge a higher fee to try to keep themselves afloat, keep in business. But now literally everybody, hell, even the damn people in the projects got food stamps. They give them a credit card now, or a credit card type thing. It's not like actual food stamps anymore. It's like a card that they swap. like everybody's paying with cards, and there's so many more transactions now. You would think the credit card companies could maybe be like, you know what? We're processing 6,000 times more transactions than what we used to. Maybe we could come off these fees and help the small businesses, which would then, if they cut back on them fees, then places like Donna's Diner could then maybe justify allowing credit cards to pay for meals and stuff. And then that in turn would lead to more transactions. So maybe they would make more money, even though they would make less per transaction. Visa and MasterCard would make possibly more money because of the greater volume of transactions. I ain't telling them how to run their business. Clearly they're gazillionaires and making a killing doing what they're doing, but I'm just saying, there's a lot of businesses out there, Donna's being one of them, there's a lot of days I don't go to Donna's because I ain't got no cash on me. And I don't want to go, my lazy ass ain't going to the ATM. So today's going to be one of them days. But I may stop and get something on the way home. I may just fix a steak when I get to the house too. That sounds pretty good. By the time I get home, I got a pretty good drive from where I feel. It'll take me a while even still. If we quit fishing now, it'll take me 20 minutes or more to get back to the ramp from where we're at currently. Then drive 40, 45 minutes home. By the time I get the video from today, get it started to move over from the camera to the computer, take Daphne out, let her run around a minute. By that point, it may be late enough in the day I could justify going ahead and fixing a steak now and then just, instead of eating dinner tonight, just eat a little snack of some kind. Sometimes I'll do that. If I eat lunch late, like if I don't ever eat breakfast hardly, unless it's just a little snack. But if I can't eat lunch till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes that'll be just the only meal I eat that day. I'll just eat a little snack or something later on in the evening. If I get home at a normal hour, if I get home, most days if I fish the morning, I'll get home 11 or 12ish, eat lunch, and I'll eat something for dinner later on. But if I can't eat till late, really ain't no point in, because I'm not going to eat dinner just to eat dinner. If I ain't hungry, I ain't going to force myself. I've been on this steak kick all year though. Ever since the snowstorm, got stuck at home there for a week during the polar vortex, that was back in January. I got in the habit of fixing myself food at home, and I've just stuck with it. I get them steaks from Aldi, and hell, they're cheap. You can get a big steak, one of them eye of round steaks, cook it your damn self, and have a nice meal that's way cheaper than a fast food drive-through meal. So I've been doing that all year, and I'm kind of a creature of habit. Like most people would probably get tired of eating the same thing every day. But me, like, if I get on something, like, I'll keep doing it. I'm repetitive like that. I'll eventually get tired of it and then switch to something else, but like, I was talking the other night, me and the girlfriend, we went to this wing place up in Knoxville and had some wings. And I was thinking, that was probably one of 5 or 6 times all year that I've ate chicken. Like chicken used to be a staple for me. Like I eat chicken every day. But since I've been on the steak kick, I've hardly eaten any chicken at all this year. Like maybe 5 or 6 times total. Now, once we get on into football season here in a few weeks, I'll be eating wings a lot more often. I eat a lot of wings during football season, but I was thinking about that the other day. Since I've been on the steak kick this year, like I ain't eating hardly any chicken. I can't remember the last time I had any turkey. And I'm not against turkey. I like turkey, and I like chicken, but I've just not been eating it. I'll tell you something else though I don't want to eat ever again is Applebee's. We ate there the other night. We went out, and that was the first time I'd been to Applebee's in years. And it was awful. There's very few restaurants I want to go to anymore. They just ain't, the quality's went, even the sit-down restaurants have went down so bad. The quality's so bad. I just don't want to, I'd just rather fix something at the house. I don't like doing dishes. I don't have a dishwasher at my house. So I got to hand wash everything. That's another reason not to have kids, because then I'd have to wash extra plates and forks and stuff. But I just, even with the hassle of having to cook and do dishes, I'd just rather fix my stuff at home, because at least then I know who's cooking it. And I'm gonna cook it right. I know, you know what else is cooking right now? Me in this sun. It is miserable hot, y'all. It's miserable. The bite's been dead for an hour or so or more. I don't know when exactly the bite shut off, like an hour and a half, 2 hours into the trip, really, where it really kind of started to peter out. It was going strong there first thing, right there, right after the sun had come. I wish we had got on the water about 30 minutes earlier. If I could have got y'all out of bed, we could have probably caught a bunch more fish today. Let's catch us one more. Let's catch us one more right here, y'all. I'm gonna reel in this fish and we're getting the hell out of here. This is gonna be the last one. So I hope he's a doozy. I hope he's a whopper. I ain't gonna say it, but you know what I'm thinking. He feels pretty good. He's probably gonna be another fun sizer. Unless one of his friends bites that other bait though. And we got bluegill on the other rod, so I'd say it's less likely to happen. But unless it does, we're getting the hell out of here in a minute. We're gonna go home, figure out something to eat, and hit that air condition for the rest of the afternoon. I mean, he's got some. I'm having to tug on this fish a little bit. Let's see, we should be getting close here to seeing him now. Good fish. This is a good one to go out on right here. One of the bigger ones of the day. Fun sizer. You know, we didn't get any whoppers out here today, unfortunately, but this is a quality fish. Quality fish here. Old blue kitty. Well, we ain't gonna catch one of his friends because he's caught the line as he acts a fool. Could have done without all. Now he's tangled himself up in that line even more. Oh, you fish. He is all up in that other line. I did not want to pick out a tangle. But I guess I will. He got y'all soaking wet up there, didn't he? Oh, Lord. There he is, folks. Final fish of the trip right there. Not a bad way to end it. Now, that's a solid fish. Got a little bit more weight on him than some of the others we've got today. Made a mess of my lines, though. Been that kind of day, man. Between the motor cords, just... you never have just one thing like that happen. It's always a multitude of things. Now he's slimed my hand up something terrible, too. All right, y'all. Thanks for coming with me today. I appreciate you coming along. It's been fun. We got a lot of fish. Wish we could have got that whopper, but you know what? We'll try it again. I'll probably go carp. I'm thinking I'm gonna go carp fishing if I can tomorrow. But then I'll get us some more bait and we're gonna get after them. This catfish bite is gonna continue to get better from here. So we're gonna get us some big fish the rest of the summer here, and we're gonna have a good time with it. So anyway, y'all, I'm getting the hell out of here. I'll see you next time. Thanks for coming with me today.